Yo! Welcome everybody. It is that time once again. We are here for the newest episode of the Slot 1 Super Podcast. Is your boy the Masked Ningen here as the main host for this week. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, a lot of unexpected goings on JP at least. And a couple of things to talk about on Global, including one of Minato's favourite EZAs of all time. Finally, us global peasants have had a chance to use the glorious EZA that we will talk about probably just very briefly. But yeah, we are here for another episode. As always, not alone. My boys are here with me to my right. So we have, first of always, of course, Minato's Flash in the middle. How's it going?
Hi. Dude, I like my hair is like kind of stuck in my ear under my thing, and I'm trying to find it, and it's really annoying me. But I think I got it out right now, so I feel great. It's like bother you. Maybe it's just a me issue. Look, I'm excited to talk about these characters today.
Well, that's one way to start the episode. So yeah, we're in full swing already. You love to see it.
You gotta be real with them. Look,
what is Bo talking about right now?
I'm gonna be real with y'all. Okay.
What is blood waffling about me? But yeah, so we have on the far right, we of course have our boy, the man who has in all the know with the animations. It is Dokkan Assets, aka Theo. How are you today, my good sir?
Good. I'm chilling. I am excited to discuss because we got a pretty big surprise for Dokkan. I know we were basically expecting nothing, and now we have so much to talk about. So I'm excited to get into the discussions. It's also snowing here, so that's pretty cool too. I couldn't go outside even if I wanted to. So
I mean,
we here
to let y'all know how busy it's been the last 24 hours, or at least from last night. Like, let's say the last day, I basically recorded 19 videos.
It's pretty good.
There's a reason why they call him Truth Junior, bro. That's crazy. He recorded like nuts. That's wild.
Two of them were for my other channel, but it's still like 19 videos, 17 videos.
That's a lot.
That's pretty
crazy. There's so much, dude.
That's a workhorse over here. You
I like
to see it.
To be honest.
Yeah, shout out to all the members in the chat for the Super Saiyan 4 Cyberman emote spam. You love to see it.
Cyberman.
This is Theo's first time seeing the glory that is Super Saiyan 4 Cyberman.
Ningen was like, "Oh, you're gonna love this," and then I clicked into the chat and I was like, "What is that thing?"
It's funny because I remember I came into a stream and I saw it, and then Ningen was disappointed that I got spoiled.
Yeah, I was like, when we added it, it was funny because the stream where it got added, it was getting spammed a lot, and people were making various jokes and stuff, and it was, I don't know what, like when the light bulb clicked, but I was just like, oh my god, on Friday when the podcast happens, these are going to be all in the chat, and Minato and Theo are going to be like, what is that? So yeah, shout out to all the members, all the support. You love to see it. Yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button as well before we get started here. We're going to be jumping in. We're going to cover a little bit of global stuff. There wasn't really a huge amount, but I know Minato is desperate to talk about his boy again. We briefly chatted about it last week, but we will be jumping into some global stuff. Before we do that, of course, just a quick reminder, of course, if you guys want to help support the podcast, if you have any questions, any comments, or any shout outs, anything like that you would like to make, any donations or super chats, members, all that kind of stuff received during the show will all be read out at the end. So if you do have anything like that and you want to contribute, obviously always very much appreciated, and that will all get covered at the end. So we're going to jump straight into the hypest thing of the week, of course, which is that Global finally got the absolute legend that is the physical transforming Vegeta EZA. Good old 30-stage EZAs, we all love them. So yeah, I know.
It's just looking over at Minato's face as you're explaining that. Bro,
it's just like smiling but dead behind the eyes, yeah.
The hate behind those eyes, the despair.
So
I feel like, are you sure you want me to start off? You're the global.
I mean, we kind of went over it last week as well, so you don't have to go full on into it again. But you could give us the highlights, I guess, and then I'll try and add on to it based on now that I've actually gotten to use them. But
okay, here's my just like a very Cliff Notes version. Super Saiyan Vegeta sucks. Super Saiyan Super Vegeta sucks. Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is like, he looked like he'd be okay, but he kind of still sucks. God Vegeta is like, couple, he has a little bit of stuff. Then Blue Vegeta is actually good, I would say. But the issue is that you get to God Vegeta in turn 7 and Blue Vegeta in turn 9, and then you're like, oh, the fight ended on turn 5. Oh, that's good. Right? So the thing is, you're stuck with Super Saiyan Vegeta, who has RNG orb changing and needs 7 key spheres, and then his stats are just low. Same with Super Vegeta. Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta at least has guaranteed and only needs 6 key spheres, but guaranteed orb changing, of course, but it's still a lot to ask for, and he still has pretty low stats overall. Even with the greatly stacking defense, it's just like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, and I have let's say 570k defense. Yeah, turn 6. Yeah.
Bro is flabbergasted. He said, that's a lot right there.
Dude, calm down. What a powerful unit.
But again, I think God Vegeta is where his defense starts to get at least enough to potentially tank most normals in the game. And we're talking about normals here in turn 7. So
that's the biggest problem. Now that I finally got to use him, it's one of those things where I was genuinely impressed with his performance in those last 2 forms, but then it's like, you see that turn 1 when he becomes Super Saiyan Blue, and I think with the rotation that I had for the showcase, he's over 1 million defense after supering, and you think, oh, this is awesome. Except it's turn 9. So when are you actually seeing that? You're going to go, I think I took him against Fusion Zamasu, and even in the run that I was able to win, I think it got to Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, but the problem is the teams that you're going to run him on as well, that in order to get his links and to give him a good leader skill, some of those other units are so powerful that you can't, it's almost like you can't go slow, which of course is dangerous to do against bosses like Fusion Zamasu anyway, because you want to get out of the AoE phase as quickly as possible. So I don't think I ever even saw God Vegeta when trying him in the Dismal Future Red Zone stages and stuff like that. So it's a little bit disappointing.
Another thing I would say is the fact that Global doesn't have Omega, right?
Yes.
Omega, he's actually able to do decent in. Honestly, I was a little impressed with his performance against Omega, just a little bit, because when he went blue, obviously he can get you that full heal because he has all of the orbs that he grabs. Kind of like what we're gonna talk about in a bit with the type characters, right? So I think something like that is really valuable that really rarely characters get. So that's just a full heal in your back pocket at the end of the event when you're in the hardest part of the fight. And then he's actually able to sit in slot 1 and even eat Omega Supers because of the fact that he's physical and he's stacked up the entire fight. So he actually does have value in the Omega fight. I still wouldn't say he's the best in slot 1, of course, but he's since he gets a lot of his even still on super attack, but he's actually pretty decent Omega. In the final phase, the issue is the STR phase that has AoEs and hits for almost 600k sometimes. So that's where he could struggle. But in my experience, when he gets to God Vegeta, he's able to usually even tank the normals against the STR Omega phase, right?
Okay.
After he supers. So I'm that's at least doable, right? A type disadvantage normals that hit for about 400 to 600k. I'm fine with that overall. But yeah, I think overall this Vegeta is just, it's another thing where it's most events now are short, so he's just a long event unit in a short event meta, and that's where he really has his downfall.
Yeah,
we need some new long events, high key.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he could at least see some use if we get some events that come out again that are a little bit longer, especially if the later phases are in. Then obviously he could potentially see a bit of a comeback. But yeah, I think that sums it up pretty perfectly. And there's a lot of units that have come out that are like that. But yeah, he is a longer event unit in a short event meta. I think that's the perfect way to put it. So yeah, transforming Vegeta, when he gets going, I think that's what I literally even called my video. It's once he gets going, it's he's really good, but it's just, are you going to get there in a lot of these events?
On turn 7.
Unfortunately not. So, but yeah, it's also we got the Sub-EZA for the Int Super Vegeta. came alongside our boy. Unfortunately, because he released on JP before the worldwide celebration, they weren't doing the thing where you just get the extra medals. And unfortunately, even though Global got to experience that during the worldwide celebration, because it was the same time, they decided that if JP didn't get them when they were on JP, Global's not getting them now. So we don't get those missions. So you had to refund the stages, which is, it is equality, but it is annoying.
In a terrible way, I guess. Yeah.
So, especially because like I refarmed the medals for him and everything. And yeah, he's okay. I don't know if you guys have any sort of insights. He's in a unit that very much suffers from exactly the same as like Trunks, because it's funny, they're from the same celebration. Like on JP, he came out before the worldwide celebration. So like when the worldwide celebration came out, he would have probably been a really cool, like fun option to use for that first clear of beating the Dismal Future Red Zone Cell, because obviously he's really good against a Cell enemy. But now for Global, it's like you don't have any reason to replay that stage. So he's released in a meta where there is no relevant like Cell boss. There's not even really relevant like Android bosses. So in order to get his full potential, which, you know, you take him up against a Cell enemy, he could be really good. He could be doing like quad supers, 7 to 8 million attack. Like he seems okay, but it's just like, you know, and against a non-cell, you can end up getting a turn where you get like one super and then an additional normal, and then he's not even necessarily going to be tanking normals at that point. So is there anything you guys wanted to add for this guy? So kind of like what we said for Vegeta, maybe if we get or for the physical Vegeta, maybe if we get an event in the future, you know, I'm sure we'll revisit the Android/Cell saga at some point for like a big, you know, Cell and Gohan dual Dokkan Fest or something again. But yeah, until then, I'm not sure that this guy really is useful for too much.
Yeah,
I think
unfortunately.
that's really it. He was clearly designed with that tech Cell fight in mind, which he does actually do well in. But again, JP got him right before Worldwide, and this is the issue with Global getting the unit. Is it literally like 6 months, 7 months after? Because he came out in June and now he's out in February, not February, in January in Global.
Yeah, it's like Worldwide was in August, so even then he's still like 4 months late, basically.
Yeah, and it's like I would say even right now you could probably take him to that fight, and he's one of the better options if you haven't like maybe even if you're a newer player and you have him, and then you're like, oh, I haven't beat this fight, he could actually really help me in that fight. But other than that, he doesn't really have value. But I'm a little lenient towards this guy because a lot of Sub-EZAs like around his time specifically were kind of mediocre against all content. But then this guy is actually like a nice option against a really difficult stage still. That tech Cell fight could still be pretty difficult actually. And no one really talks about it anymore, but he's still pretty hard. So I think it's nice to have a character that like excels in that specific mode like that. One of the more difficult stages in the game.
Yeah.
But you know, if you compare him to some of the recent Sub-EZAs that we've been getting that are really strong, like Tech Tapion, like, you know, it's like, you know, obviously you can see there's a difference, but that's again the issue with him being like 6 months late in Global or something, right?
Yeah.
Because over 6 months, post Worldwide and post Anniversary, there's always a jump in how strong characters are. That just is always going to happen. It's going to happen in a month from now. All these characters we're talking about, like that are like decent, might just be bad in that new content, right? You know, it's very possible. And again, with the units we're talking about, I think that makes it even more likely. But you know, we'll talk about it when we get them, which might be next.
Yeah. So it's you know, maybe one day, if it's not too long, we'll see some more Cell-related content. But it's one of those things that sucks. It happens to villains a lot, where it's like a unit will come out and they're really good against a certain type of enemy. And so then we're like, oh, surely an event will come out for them soon. And then an event will eventually one day come out. But it's been so long after that unit released that they're not even good in that event anymore. Like if we got a power creep shift similar to like the introduction of the Red Zone, and that had a Cell boss, this guy probably still wouldn't be that good in that event unless maybe he was tech, right? So a little bit disappointing, but I guess it is what it is. So yeah, that's going to be the two big super fun units that released on Global. The only other Vegeta related thing, of course, is that Global gets to experience everyone's favorite game mode on Monday. Chain Battle is
Let's go.
We're into the final gauntlet now of the last few chain battles for global. So that's coming out on Monday. But funnily enough, that is the last thing that is actually in the news in terms of what we know is happening on global is the chain battle on Monday. So hopefully, either by the end of the weekend, maybe even first thing Monday morning. I guess if it's going to be a teaser in the news, it should be on Monday morning. But we should get to find out what the next thing is going to be. The Super Trunks sales end on Wednesday morning. Any predictions from you guys? I think we kind of know what the number one thing people are expecting to see. But what do you guys think we're going to see on global on Wednesday?
We're gonna see the one goat, the true goat, who he actually got a buff, so that's cool. But...
He did.
The goat. I mean, I guess to be fair, is there any indication of like what they'll pick for what's actually next at the moment, or no? I don't think there
as far
is,
as we
right?
know, there is no actual indication, but we've obviously the popular choice, the popular guess is that it will be Omega, because the only reason it ties in, I made a video talking about it the other day, but like the only real reason it ties in is because if we follow the time frame from 2022 and not 2023, because obviously this 2023, the Tanabata unit, which was Super Saiyan 4 Goku, released at the beginning of November instead of the previous year where they waited until the end of November to release Trunks and Vegeta. So the last time we saw that happen was when they released Tech Gogeta on Global at the beginning of November. And then when we went into the next year, that's where they pushed the Part 2 Tanabata LR2 to that like mid-January time slot. And then last year, I think there was an LR banner that was in like mid-January as well. I think it was Golden Frieza. So basically 2 years in a row for Global, there's been an LR banner mid-January that was kind of shuffled from somewhere else in the schedule compared to where it was on JP. So it seems very likely that will be the case, because otherwise they would just be, you would assume the only other real thing they could do, unless they just randomly do a global first, which seems unlikely, is that then they'd be jumping straight into the androids, which is a bit strange, I would think, to go into them this quickly after Trunks. But
they usually don't do Dokkan Fest to Dokkan Fest,
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I very much think that it's going to be Omega. Like I say, it's the past 2 years in a row, that middle January time slot has been an LR that got moved from somewhere else in the schedule because the Part 1 unit that they were with came out at a different time or something. So yeah, potentially that's what it'll be. Now, I know a lot of people are not super hyped about the unit, although he's good himself in a vacuum. GT Bosses is obviously not great, but if it is him coming out, that means we will finally get the Omega stage on Global. So even though it's been out on JP for a while, I know a lot of people are looking forward to that, having a new boss to test out the units against for Global. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And obviously by next week's episode, we'll know what came out then. So we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. So that leaves us wrapping up Global in a nice tidy bow. And we can move on to the JP stuff, where all the crazy stuff has been going on this week. So, that's going to be a running theme probably for the next couple episodes, right? Where it's like, there's not much going on Global. So now let's get on to the JP shenanigans, especially, of course, with the anniversary coming up. And we'll be talking about the details for all the teasers and stuff like that a little bit later on. But we're going to be jumping into the stuff that has actually dropped or will be coming soon. And the first big thing is the version update. So I do have one image here that just shows a little bit of a brief change from the buffs that you get from the power level. So Minato sent these to me. Why don't you give us a quick rundown here of the update? I know we talked about the power level stuff a little bit last time, but now we know exactly what it actually does and what you get the bonuses for and stuff like that. So why don't you break it down for us?
So I would say when it comes to that, I'm bringing it up on my phone, but let me actually look at the images I sent you to. Actually, that might have been smarter, but essentially there are, by meeting a certain power level requirement, you are able to get extra bonuses for how high your power level is. Now it caps out at 3 million. So as long as you get a 3 million power level, you get all the bonuses for like having again max power level in terms of like extra drop rates and stuff like that. So if we just go down the line in terms of what is actually like what you are able to get, I'm bringing it up on my phone right here. Just give me a second. We see that you get Zenny drop rate. So based on what I see, I get 100% Zenny drop rate up. So I get basically, I'm assuming it's like double the Zenny every single time I clear a stage. That's cool. 50% chance to get training item ups. Same thing for like any support items like sensu beans, bomas, etc. Hidden potential orbs, you have a 50% chance to get an additional drop. So when you farm the daily hidden potential stages, you get a 50% chance to get the extra drops from them, which is
That's
actually
nice.
pretty good, especially considering again they are limited events, so you're able to get those extra drops for them. It's very, very nice, I think, overall, right? Some
Mhm.
extra things here. That's the same thing for other things, but I think it's a 25% chance to get an additional character drop. Same thing, 25% chance for incredible gems to get an additional drop. Another 25% chance to get an additional like awakening medals drop. So that will count for like if you're farming a Dokkan event, you get a 25%
Yep.
chance to get
Yeah,
an
I think I saw the
extra
screenshot
drop.
where it
I've
showed
seen a
like,
couple of screenshots of that
yeah,
too.
it's like
Yeah.
the extra 7 medals, and then it has the little like
Yeah.
bonus thing next to
Which
it. That's really cool.
honestly, like, dude, that considering how much I know, even just us on the podcast episodes alone have talked about, like, oh my gosh, I really wish
Heroes
that
farming
they
next
would make
year.
it easier. Yeah.
Here's farming
Dude,
next year
imagine
is
what
gonna
would
be
happen if you
very
got like, imagine if you used a boost on like the Dokkan
Yeah.
event and
You
that
you
bonus
get
actually triggered like both times. You'd get
It does.
That would
28
be
medals.
crazy.
Yeah,
You
that'd be
get
awesome.
28 medals if that triggers twice. I've seen a screenshot of that.
Wow.
So that is great.
That's
You actually
wild.
get permanent discounts off the Baba shop, 25% off for Baba points,
Oh wow,
Ooh,
that's
and
cool.
25% off for the Zenny shop, right?
okay.
So like if you're buying like I don't know, 500 ghost just for the world tournament or something, you get like a huge discount, right? Which at this point I think us long-term players don't really struggle with Zenny. But if
No.
you want to keep as many Hercule statues as you can, I guess, that's helpful.
Yep.
Oh
Um
yeah, I've got like 8,000 or something. I think.
Yeah, I've got a lot
But then I
myself.
think these two are the biggest things here.
Mm.
So stamina recovery time is minus 60 seconds. So if we're in a
Yeah.
normal stamina recovery time, it's only 4 minutes to recover a bar one stamina.
Yeah.
Then obviously I think if it's in 3 minutes stamina time, it's only 2 minutes to recover stamina,
That's wild.
which is
Mm.
pretty crazy, especially for someone like me. I have freaking I have 386 stamina right now, and I haven't even bought the new ones from the Supreme Kai shop that were updated. So I can get almost 400 stamina.
Damn.
And I'm gonna be
That's
able to
wild.
recover one every 2 minutes in this current season in JP. Because there's I think 3 minute stamina right now,
Mm.
which is really
Yep.
good. Then another one right here is a boost recovery time minus 1200 seconds, which I think is 6 minutes, right? If I'm not mistaken. So basically every six like every single time that you are going to recover a boost, it's a minus 6 minutes, I believe. Which is nice, I think. It's not really that much,
I was
but
gonna
if you
say because it's
consider
like
like
4. It's like 8 hours usually, isn't it? Or 4 if
yeah,
it's
so
at
it's
Yeah.
like
half time. So 6 minutes off of 8 hours
6 minutes
isn't
is
really a
like
huge
almost
amount, but
nothing. But
yeah,
I think it could build up over time, especially in times where you have 5 boosts that
yeah,
recover every 5 hours. And then
Yeah.
if you consider that, that's an extra, I guess, how many minutes? 35 minutes? 30 minutes, something like that. Which again is not that big in a long scheme of thing, but if we consider that over like the course of a month, then you're gonna get a lot of extra boosts from
Mm.
that as it builds up, like because you're able to get that every single day. So I think that's what I'm thinking of in terms of a long-term thing, right? You can get tons of extra boost runs, and then that's going to help you with link leveling. That's going to help you with, even just farming Dokkan events, right? If you want to use that because to get the extra drops, right? That's pretty good. And then another really, really good thing that was actually bugged right now in GP, like there's extra attempts you can do in stages, the punching
yeah.
events, the God of Destruction events, all the red zones, the daily Master Roshi event, the B-Pan events, the weekly Whis events, and then all the hidden potential system events. You get one extra attempt at all of them within that like time frame that they resets. Like you get 2 attempts per week with the Whis event. You get again 2 attempts per week with B-Pan, 2 attempts per week with the Roshi event. So imagine that during the launch time, right? Where you get two
True.
launch runs per day. That can be really pretty crazy. 6 red zone attempts, right? Which is definitely better than just having 5. Having 6 red zone attempts, especially when a new red zone comes out, that's gonna be pretty nice.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the red zone one I think was bugged, so they took it down, and then they're trying to get it fixed because I guess I don't know. Right?
They were like, no.
But yeah, I've been doing the Roshi one twice yesterday, and I was like, okay, that's pretty sick, you know. And if you're link leveling, that could be very, very influential.
That
And
makes sense why when I booted up the game, I forget if that was a day ago or 2 days ago or whatever, and I was like, why can I do this twice? I did not know that was a bug, so that makes
I
sense.
do also want to confirm you only need 500k power level to get the extra attempt for all red zones. So as long as you meet a 500k power level bonus, you do get all the red zone attempts. Then when you reach 1,000,000 power level, that's when you get the extra attempts with like all the other events like training with Roshi, etc.
That's good.
So like if hitting 1 mil power level will help you get more link levels faster with the Roshi event, and then you'll be able to get up to 3 mil faster to get the full effect, everything, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, isn't it something I saw on Twitter where it's like the max boosts that you get is at 3 mil, but I think it was something like where it's basically like all the ones that matter or something, or it's like a negligible difference after like 1.5 or something like that.
Yeah. So like getting to 3 mil, I think overall like it does look negligible. Obviously, it'll add up over time, but you don't have to worry about rushing to get to 3 mil. I think again, like 1 mil, 1.5 mil, around that time frame. If you're around that, you're pretty much all set. Again, even 500k. If all you care about is the extra red zone attempts, 500k is all you need, right? So I think this is a good update overall. I do like this, and
I do think it's a good update.
to it too.
Yeah.
The only thing is, no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I was really surprised because obviously we saw the thing about extra limited event attempts, and we all just kind of immediately it was like, oh, that means the red zone. I was very surprised to see like the Roshi mission and like the Whis Orb mission as well, because obviously that's once a week. Is I don't think I've gotten good skill orbs from that for ages, but like getting an extra attempt at it is something that I definitely didn't expect. So.
You know, it does make me a little sad, but I do wish that we got the extra attempt for the link skill orbs. That's not there, but obviously it makes sense. It's a brand new event, and they want to be a little like more touchy with that. So maybe in the future, if they imagine if they update this, and then it's like, you know, like a year from now they update it to like 8 mil power level, and then there's even more.
That would be wild.
That'd be crazy. Because the only thing I'm worried about is like, are they gonna start making it so like, okay, we're gonna design like some of these like things in mind where you're gonna want to have these like extra attempts or anything like that? I don't think so.
No.
They're usually like at this point I think they're pretty complacent with the game, but that's the thing with Dokkan. Luckily, I feel like other games would be like, oh, we're introducing this, so we're just gonna still make it a little harder to grind some of these things, even though we introduce this quality of life stuff. So I think some people may be worried about that, and it's like a thought you could have, but probably not. So you don't have to worry about that too much. So that's good.
Yeah, I will say, I think the only thing that is like kind of interesting is that the well, I guess at the end of the day, it's really I hope you've been grinding links, because the interesting thing is that obviously with this update, they didn't really change the like way that you get the most amount of points, because obviously the most amount of points that you can get is from grinding links, which is kind of interesting because you would think it would be like awakening characters or like, you know, other stuff like that, but links is what you get the biggest buff in your power level from. So it's kind of interesting that they like almost, you know, quote unquote prioritize that as like the main thing, that how to get your power level up. But maybe they did that just because well, I mean, link leveling isn't new now, I guess, but you know, since it's like the newest thing, you know, in the game, and it's kind of the game's like end game content sort of, you know, maybe they just want to push it more. But it's kind of interesting that with you know, the addition of the boost, they didn't really like change the power level, the way that you get a power level boost at all. Not that like, for me personally, I'm not really opposed to it because I'm grinding links all the time anyway. So like, it's not a big deal for me. But I know that some people don't grind links, And obviously that is, a little bit probably frustrating for those people who haven't been grinding links and now your power level is low. And then you see that, you're going to be able to get all these buffs from, having a higher power level. But at the end of the day, I guess that's just more, reason to grind links. It's just more motivation.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the thing about that is that, again, they have been making it easier to link level stage. They're to link level. They given us a good stage. The Roshi event, is up every day. The Guru event's out right now. So like at least they introduced a lot of things right now. Like they brought back the Guru event, like I said, for you to be able to like take advantage of all of these things. But I feel like another thing is that if they changed the amount that link leveling gives you and made it lower, then what happens to the people who have been grinding links this whole time?
Oh no, I don't think they should make it lower. I'm just saying they should
exactly.
increase.
Then if they
I
make
guess.
everything else higher, then it's like they kind of have to like restructure how it's like built in terms of like their design, which wouldn't have been too hard. I guess.
I mean, yeah,
right?
the thing is, it's like it's an arbitrary number, right? Like it could have been in the thousands instead of the millions. So if they updated everything and then all of a sudden there's people running around with like 25 million power level, it doesn't really matter as long as they make it so the boosts are at different increments, right? Because I think that's the one thing that I've seen a lot of feedback for people saying it was disappointing. Was basically just that a lot of people assumed, or at least hoped, that they were going to add more value to the other stuff, right? They're like not just link leveling. And of course, that was not the case. So if you're somebody who doesn't really do any link leveling, you would have got a very minor increase in power. Because obviously those are the ones they increased, right? The non-link level related ones give you more points. But I think most people, even people like, Minato and I, who've, our levels are really high for those things that got buffed, like the number of stage cleared and stuff like that. I think, didn't you say your power level's only gone up by like 300,000 or something? So
yeah,
it's
by about like 300,000 or so.
So it's like you could.
I'm showing on the camera the extra drop rate. I don't know if it.
Oh yeah, there you go. So you can see some extra medium and large AGL hidden potential orbs just for free from the power level. So that is
which is very nice.
Yeah, pretty good. So yeah, getting extra stuff for free is always cool.
Yeah, free stuff is always good. And I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, at the end of the day, all of this is just additional bonuses that you'll be getting, just for playing the game as you would already. So, I think with that, keeping that in mind, obviously it's like really only a good thing, I would say personally.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to have, and then it gives people a bit of a reason to maybe want to link level a bit more. I did actually see a few people that got posted screenshots of going from just below 3 mil to actually going above 3 mil, so now they get all of the bonuses as well, which is cool. Even though, like we said, a lot of the main ones you're going to want, you only need to get 1 million. So I imagine there probably will be a few people that the update has actually pushed them to that as well. So if you're in that position, that would obviously be very good. So I think they did confirm as well in that producer letter that Global got, where they basically copied everything apart from the Harudegan stuff at the end. They confirmed that should be coming to Global in February. So we'll probably talk about it very briefly again when it comes to Global. And of course, I will keep you guys updated with what mine is looking like. I think Minato and I have very similar power levels, so it'll probably be the same. I think I worked it out last week with the new formula, and I go from like 5.4 to 5.7 or something like that. So it's not a crazy increase, but a little bit extra. I was obviously already at the threshold for the most buffs anyway, but still nice to see. So yeah, what's your power level like, Theo? I don't think you actually said. What was it before and what's it up to now? Because you said you do be grinding some links sometimes. So what's your power level?
I do sometimes. Currently, here, let me turn on my brightness so you can see it. But every time I hear someone say, "What's your power level?" I think of that TFS Broly clip where he's like, "What's your power level?" Currently, as you can see, will it focus? There we go. That is the current power level.
Yeah, it's weird that the commas disappeared, didn't they, from the thing?
Yeah,
that's the comments. I don't know why.
That's really
Everyone
weird.
was like, "Why did they remove the
so weird."
Yeah, I feel like that's probably
Yeah.
some kind of accident, and in the next
still my
next
power level.
update, it'll go back to normal or
W.
something. But
Yeah, because
Rank here.
usually when it
5.6,
comes to me
nice.
and grinding links, it's like I'm not like spending stones or like the meat items to do it, but it's like I'll do all my daily boosts on the link level stage, and then that's pretty much like, and then maybe a couple of extra runs, but usually that's like what I'm doing. So I'm definitely not grinding it as hard as other people. What's up?
How many stones you got for anniversary, by the way?
Not enough yet. Cause I went to 0 on the New Year's banner, so right now I'm at 371. So
Yeah, I'm at 414, but I haven't bought like all the New Year sales just yet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'll talk about it when we talk about it. But I'm considering maybe summoning on something.
Oh.
On something. Oh,
I think
yeah,
we know. I
what
think
you're
we know
talking
what
about.
those are going to be. Those will be coming up
Yes.
very, very soon. So,
Mhm.
but before we do that, because we're going to be talking about something that technically isn't in the game yet. Obviously, Minato and also myself have started dipping into the private server to show off those boys. But we do have something that is out in the game already. Something that we talked about last week. We've talked about it for a few weeks. Was it going to happen? Then it was confirmed to happen. Then we waited to get the details, and yeah, we finally have in game on JP the EZA for LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Yes,
now,
the
I know
goat.
Minato and I have both used him already because we've both done videos, but I wanted to jump to you, Theo. I don't know if you've used him yourself or if you've just seen clips and stuff like that, but obviously, as the one of the big Dragon Fist aficionados who was a little bit disappointed by the Dokkan Fest, at least even if it was just for the animations. I know the unit is good. What are your thoughts on the EZA for Tech LR Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist Goku?
Honestly, I really like how he has turned out. I have not got a chance to use him myself, but I've watched a little bit of showcases and whatnot, and I really like him. I know some people were saying that it's kind of funny. Like I was seeing a couple people like and then I was seeing a lot of people like, oh my gosh, holy cow, it's cracked. Funny enough, from the JP side of Dokkan Twitter, when those details were coming out, I was seeing a lot of players basically just being like, "Holy cow, he's amazing!"
Yep.
So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the result. Honestly, it seems like just a huge improvement on the original version of the character. Right, I like that you can kind of use him for different purposes as well. You can kind of play him a little bit differently, which is nice, if you want to be a little bit more defensive or if you want to go for that one bang with a Dragon Fist, right? But yeah, I really like the way that he turned out. And, I think in terms of like an EZA that needed to be good, right? I know we've said this before. We said this when the whole Rose arc happened as well during Worldwide. But like, by golly, bro. If any EZA in the game needed to be cracked out of his mind, this was the one that it needed to be, because obviously he's been waiting so darn long for it. So I'm really glad that it's very good. And yeah, I'm very satisfied with the EZA. Yeah, I'm glad. And not to mention, I didn't even get Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I summoned on the banner for Gohan, and I didn't get 3Ku or Gohan, so I have another good Super Saiyan 3 Goku, yes! You love to see it. But yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with this kit. I hope they do more EZAs, that good in the future. With obviously we still have a couple coming up. I know people have been out talking about Tech Broly, which is a conversation I know for another podcast episode, but people have been discussing him because obviously 3Ku finally got his EZA. So I hope they do Broly as good as they do 3Ku. But yeah, I'm very pleased with the result for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Minato, before I jump in, you want to give some thoughts?
I think it's good. I think they actually did a good job with him, thank goodness, because I was really scared that he's an old character that they're just not going to update the kid of. But they knew the assignment and they made him good, which is nice. I like
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I like that you could choose between him being like more defensive and more offensive.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue I have with this character is that, again, whilst he's good, I feel like his partners, he's kind of like a villain unit I'm talking about, but like his partners like are a little limited, right? Again, he's like over in a flash, shattering limit breaking form, experience fighters. Like there's not a lot of characters that have like that kind of combination of links, right? So I find it hard to put him next to a really, really nice partner. I mean, you can get him with LR God Goku's EZA. They share some pretty good links, but then it's like you put him with him, and it's like, oh, now I'm getting too much key sometimes, and then I can't get the 12 key when I want to stack up, and then I'm forced to get the 18 key when I don't want it. And then it's like, if you don't put him with like a character that, you know, can get all those key links, sometimes it's like, oh, you know, he needs 6 key to even super attack, and now I'm gonna miss it. And then it's like, this is one of the like more annoying designs that came up this year. And it happened with Physical Turles, but he's a character that builds up key when he super attacks, but I think it's very like, counterintuitive and kind of dumb. Like, yeah, he builds up to 6 key, and then but he has to do 3 super attacks to get the 6 key, and then that's like the only key in his passive. It's like, well, he's gonna struggle to even super sometimes, right? Unless he's with those partners, and then when he's with those partners, he can get too much. So it's like, it's like kind of weird sometimes. And there's no good Super Saiyan 3s right now. But other than that, I do like him quite a bit.
Excuse you.
Rose, hello.
Wow. I mean, he doesn't kind of count. Yeah. Super Saiyan 3 Rose, obviously he is good. I'm sure Minato didn't mean to exclude him because it's almost like he's not a real Super Saiyan 3, right? Because he doesn't have over in a flash. He doesn't have limit breaking form. So it's not like you can run it. Well, you can run him with Super Saiyan 3 characters, but they don't go like
he's the leader
super well together. But no, my boys.
That's why I brought up those links.
My boys forgetting about the GOAT Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, who gets the guaranteed additional super with Super Saiyan 3 Goku. You get the hidden potential because you build him full additional.
I didn't forget about him, actually.
Then he's tanking normals. Yeah, I did the showcase with him with Bardock. On the team, I just used the physical God Goku team because they at least have over in a Flash and Super Saiyan and stuff like that. I actually think his kit, I don't want to give them too much credit because, you know, sometimes we do like to meme on some of the terrible mistakes that they make sometimes, but I almost feel like this guy is like too well designed in the way that I used him that I'm actually surprised.
He's
because
good, for sure.
Because in the early turns, because he doesn't get a lot of key early on, you kind of want to get his 12 key super, right? Because he builds up, he's stacking attack, and then by doing the 12 key super, you don't lose the damage reduction. Because something that I've seen a few people ask is when you do the 18 key super, he loses his damage reduction, but only until the end of the turn. And then when he comes back on the next rotation, he does have it again. So if you're then in a tricky spot on the next turn and you want him to be better defensively, you can try not to get the 18 key super again. So one of the things that I did is like, you know, the early stages, you build them up, you just get the 12 key super. I did get quite lucky. Obviously, the ideal scenario, you want him to get an additional super on turn 1 or 2. So then he's done 3 supers. He's fully built up his passive. He's got an extra 6 key, an extra 59% attack. And then on that very first turn, so it was his third turn because he double supered turn 1, got a super on turn 2. And then even at this point, he's hitting like 10 mil on his 12 key, which is pretty good considering we think about how he used to be back in the day. He gets that attack buff on the 18 key. So just like now, if you do an additional 12 key super, that hits hard. But beforehand, all of his attack was on his 18 key super. So his 12 key just did nothing. So now it's doing big damage. And then, we get to turn 5. God Goku in slot 1, Super Saiyan 3 Bardock in slot 3, which, yes, he is giving him 50% attack support, which is a big amount, but no items, no support memory in play, 31 million attack stat with the Dragon Fist. And someone actually said, like, someone screen capped my video and posted a tweet, and it was like, if your EZA makes the Master Ningen do this, then you know you did a good job, because literally the 31 million comes up, and it's just a screenshot of me going... So it's I was not expecting 31 million, like with no items, no support memory, like nothing. So
I mean, you can get crazy damage for sure.
I'm like I've seen people like you could in longer events where you can build them up and then you actually are using a support memory and stuff like that. He can easily be getting like 50, 60, like ridiculous. And then of course the only downside is then he loses his damage reduction. But
I took him against Omega, and then he was able to get to about, let's say, how high was his attack? I think it was like 50 mil. Like one time I got him like 50 mil, 40 to 50 mil, like without any items or anything like that is what I used to be able to get him to. But it's pretty crazy, obviously, right? Like
that is pretty crazy.
And he can get that Ningen, and then the thing is that obviously he loses his reduction after, but he's usually able to still eat most normals in the game. I found.
Yeah, normals he's fine for the most part.
And then it's funny
Yeah.
because when he gets his additional super, it's like that after he gets his 18 key also still hits really hard. Like because he gets the 200% attack boost, and then it's like you see like that 50 mil super attack at 18 key, and then he does an additional for like 25 mil, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I think one of the turns that I saw, I think he got a slightly lower 18 key because it wasn't as crazy a turn. But then, yeah, he did like the additional 12 key super, and it was like 19 million or something. It's like, damn, like I'm so used to that
okay.
12 key doing nothing, right? And it's just
Yeah,
like,
right. Like the 12 is like doing like 7 mil, and then you see the next time it does 20. You're like,
yeah, because that I mean that
Hello?
huge attack buff that he gets on the 18 key super, and then of course, yeah, it stays in play for the rest of the turn. So if he gets an additional super, so yeah, I don't know if I think you didn't you post a screenshot, Minato. You did you change your build because wasn't he not quite what you wanted it to be? I can't remember what the screenshot was. Was it
So-
mostly crit?
yeah. So obviously, I mean, most of us built him like back in like 2019 or
Mhm.
something like that. So he was 20 crit, 3 additional. I'm like, ah. So I actually didn't really change too much. What I did is I changed one of the crits to additional,
Mm-hmm.
and then I gave him a lot of additional equipment. And
Yep.
then right now he ended up here at 16 additional, 20 crit and 3 dodge.
Nice.
Nice.
A lot of people were telling me don't build crit on him because you get the guaranteed crit, but it's like that crit is like
It's like once
pretty
only, isn't it,
uncommon
or
to
something?
see, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like you may not even get that. So I want to make sure he does crit because at the end of the day, he's building up, but he wants to be a damage unit.
Yep.
Still with like additionals though. But I think that having the crit come through when you need it is a little more important than getting the additionals because like the great attack stack is nice, but it won't add in as much as a crit would to that like 18.
I think it depends on the situation. It depends how long the event is. Because yeah, I think a good mix of both. I think I changed like one of the nodes or something on mine. So mine is 21 additional and 14
Let me
crit.
see what mine's
And then he
at.
has like 4 dodge because of one of the skill orbs gives him like an extra 1.
One dodge,
Yeah, he's
I
got
was gonna go
4
through
dodge over. I gave him the 3 dodge, but yeah, one of his skill orbs gives him a random extra 1 on top of
Oh,
the
okay.
additional. So yeah, he's got 21 additional, 14 crit and 4 dodge. And yeah, that's because the thing is, if you're in a situation where you really don't want him to, take a big hit, you can go for the 12 key super. And then on some of those turns, it's like, that you kind of tactically pull the trigger and it's like, now I'm going to do the 18 key super because you're probably going to kill the boss in that phase if he's doing like a 30 million attack stat super. And then of course, is it the very first time you do his 18 key super, he does an action break as well. So
Yep.
I think I had a turn where, was it against Fusion Zamasu? I can't remember, but like I built him up in the first turn by just getting the first phase, I should say, against the AoE by just getting the 12 key supers. And then when I got into the first phase of the physical Fusion Zamasu, and that's where you've got to be careful, right? Because if you use the 18 key super, you lose your damage reduction and then he gets super attacked, you're going to die. But it was like everything aligned perfectly and there was one attack in slot 2. So I just put him in slot 2.
Dang.
You do the Dragon Fist. I think on that rotation it was like 27 million. And then, yeah, he action breaks the only attack that Zamasu is going to do against him. And yeah, it was a beautiful rotation. So yeah, someone very excited to get it on global. I am. He was the first summonable LR that I ever rainbowed. So I've been looking forward to this EZA for a long time.
Yes,
and
sir.
I did
genuinely
hear
impressed.
that post his 12 key super, he's able to eat any super attack in the game.
Oh really?
Right, someone said that he lived
Wow.
Fusion Zamasu super attack for them. I think it was like 400k. I tried to get
Damn.
Fusion
Wow.
Zamasu for me. I couldn't get it, but I got the physical one. But the ink one, mine took it for about, I think it was either 100 to 200k damage. I think it was closer to 200k, but I guess I could find the clip and post it on Twitter later. But he obviously pretty comfortably lived the int Fusion Zamasu super, which again, that matters because it's not like he has guard. He's type disadvantage still. So even with damage reduction, that type disadvantage will still really shine through. So him
Mhm.
taking like under 200k damage from that is still pretty good.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Yeah.
especially if he gets a double super, he's cooking, right? And you can keep him as a defensive character. So I think for a long time, he'll be like even a nice like floating character. And him having the only thing with him too is that all the bosses are int, so him against those AoEs will struggle. But him against the STR Omega phase, where after he has the attack raise, he took double digits before he supered from the AoE.
Damn.
So it's really just the fact that they're type disadvantage. If he's type neutral, he's able to actually eat a lot of these AoEs. It's just the issue that's all like it's all like in type.
Yeah, you think about like, you know, the next, because we're still in the process of the movie bosses, the new stage of movie bosses EZAs coming out, aren't we? So like if the final phase comes out and it's the new hardest stage, or is at least on a similar level as Fusion to Masu and Omega and stuff like that, but then the final phase is AGL, then yeah, this guy's going to be feasting. It's going to be super good. So but yeah, very, very exciting, very good. So the one thing I saw some takes, you know, the good old greater than symbols and stuff like that, and I toyed with the idea of putting, you know, the classic thumbnail of like the new best EZA like in the title and stuff. But what do you guys think when it comes to yellow coin LR EZAs? Is Goku the new number one?
I would say so. Who's better than him?
Because who's the other competition, right? It's like the LR androids.
Who would he be fighting against?
The androids. I think the androids are better.
Yeah. It's hard to, I think the problem, I think it comes down to the androids have the potential to be better defensively all the time. Whereas obviously, I mean, they could not dodge if you put them in slot 1. But I mean, obviously Goku just, you know, Goku dumps on them in terms of attack potential. But obviously when it comes to some of these more difficult events, sometimes defense is more important. Sometimes you can struggle to get 16 out, though, I think. Sometimes.
Really? 66% HP is like
sometimes.
So
it depends.
I mean, once in a while, right?
I mean, I had a few... I mean, it depends on the team, though, right? So, because I had a few runs where I was trying them out, especially on, like, the 21 team, because that's kind of like the new big Android team. And a lot of units on that team heal you. So, I had a lot of instances where... even when I thought I'd drop below the 66, someone would have like a heals at the end of the turn thing or something, and then I'd go into the next turn and not be at 66%. So it's something that can be a little bit annoying.
But yeah, I get that. Like when you get 21 to transform, it's like you don't see 16. But for the first 4 turns, I feel like, which is most of the fight, like you're not getting 21 transformed. And what other healers do you really have on the team besides the 21s?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm usually able to see the 16 like exchange whenever I use them. I got them out every single time I'd say like almost every single time I use them. And the fact of the matter is, I think them also having the 50% supports, they're able to obviously eat normals very well. And I think 16 himself, it's like you can get him out turn 1. Like you could get them out the first turn that they're here. Like you say they're in the second rotation, you fall under 66%, you get 16 out, and then he's there for the rest of the fight. He has enough defense to tank any super. He's like at 2 mil defense. Then he's doing relatively the same amount of damage as Super Saiyan 3 Goku with guaranteed crits all the time. And it's like, you know, I think there's an argument made that he could be the best, but I think I like the androids better. But I like Super Saiyan 3 Goku as second above Int Rose. But that's what I think. Maybe I'll think about it some more. Maybe I'll put him at first, right?
Yeah, I think it's one, like I say, I think it's one of those things where there are a couple of different, like, if you had to put ticks in a bunch of different columns, I think there are some for the android, some for Goku. So then it kind of comes down to your play style or like who has the most, you know, ticks in those columns overall. But it's definitely not like, you know, if the androids are number 1, it's not because they're just better than him in every way. I think there's they're very close. But yeah, I mean, I think Goku does benefit from the fact that he can be run on a lot of other teams. Like the androids giving support is great, but then it means you're running them primarily on an android's team. Whereas Goku, of course, like we're going to constantly get Super Saiyan characters and Saiyans and obviously needing over in a flash. I think the one big thing is the fact that because he's a shattering the limit unit as well. And when you put him on these teams with like, you know, it's him rubbing shoulders with like the best units in the game, and 99% of them are all fierce battle characters. So although very interesting, of course, the units that we're going to be talking about coming up, because one of them was always one of his best friends back in the day when we were in the mono meta and running a mono tech like super tech team. So actually I really want to see, I haven't done the video for Tien. Yeah, I don't know if you've done them all, haven't you, Minato? Did you run them
Yep.
together because like Earthbreak?
I was gonna,
Fighters,
yeah, he was.
you could run
They
them
were
together,
best buddies
so-
back in there.
I did run them together, yeah. As a
Yeah, so
rotation.
well, let's lead into that next scenario then, because we can jump back to
One-
Goku a little bit when we talk about Tien. But
I'd say one thing I want to say more about the androids versus the Goku is that I think that
Mhm.
it's also the current landscape of the game, like how good they are right now.
yeah,
It's because all the bosses are in type, so they're at kind of an inherent advantage.
Yeah.
Right. In the game
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
fair.
is what I'm thinking of. And then I took Super Saiyan 3 Goku against Omega. He can work, but it's like you have him in slot 2, and then Omega is like triple AoE, and then you take like 150k per AoE, and then you're like just like, oh, I'm dead, right? Because
Yeah.
then Omega supers after, and you're like, oops.
yeah,
So that's the I had that experience Super Saiyan 3 Goku against Omega, and that's just, again, it's because he's type disadvantage, but it's not his control, obviously, but that's just how the game is now. Hopefully,
Right.
post 9th anniversary.
Would you
we'll
say
have other
then in
tactics.
that case, so just as a quick hypothetical for you, so if Super Saiyan 3 Goku was physical, would you say he's better than the
Oh, that's
androids?
interesting.
I feel like, yeah, I think it's like actually like the types of the characters really
Yeah.
do matter right now,
Yeah, that's
because
Oh, they do,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with
advantage
that.
versus disadvantage. I think that you could provide a much stronger case there, but just
Mm,
he's
okay.
tech right now. Tech units, it just like
Yeah,
I mean, I've been saying it recently. I'm like, he's tech.
My
It's like,
typing has
you
fallen
know,
from grace. You hate to see
I know.
it.
poor
Okay.
tech units, dude. It's just so sad.
but
it is
yeah,
what it
he's.
is.
I mean, that's the thing. His defense is always different as well, because like obviously type neutral, for example, the androids they don't rely on dodge. But like type neutral, if you're getting the 18 key super with Goku, then like we said, like he's just tanking everything, which is really good. But yeah, they both have a lot of positives. I guess it's one of those things. I feel like it's a thing we kind of say a lot when we make tier lists. Is I feel like if you have either of those at 1 and the other one at 2, I probably wouldn't argue too much. I think on any
Yeah.
given day you could say one of those two is number 1. But yeah, definitely very, very impressed with Goku. And at the end of the day, this is the kind of situation we want, right? We don't want to be sat here with this EZA that we've waited 6 years for.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, this
Wow,
guy
that's a
sucks.
crazy stat.
Whereas instead, yeah, we're sat here saying, you know, oh, is he actually the best yellow coin LR EZA? Maybe. Like, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So definitely very, very good stuff. And yeah, as I say, as a global player, very excited to finally get that on JP, on global. Because one of the things that'll be interesting, just as like a brief aside here, is of course, judged based on what we have seen in the past, we would expect the New Year's Dual Dokkan Fest for global to come around April time, which means that for global, it will come after Saiyan Day. So if the Saiyan Day character ends up being, let's say, for example, it doesn't have to necessarily be a Super Saiyan 3 character, but if the Saiyan Day character ends up being like a new 200% leader for Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or just another character that has over in a flash, maybe even provides like support, then for global, this guy's potentially going to be even better, like when he comes out finally. And that would obviously go hand in hand for the STR Super Saiyan 3 Goku as well. So yeah, very excited to see what's going to happen for Saiyan Day, of course. Bit down the line. Of course, we'll talk about that in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, very excited for Goku to come to global. And yeah, good to see that he is actually good. So you love to see it. More EZAs
Yes,
like
sir.
this, please.
Please.
As Theo said, Tech Broly, come on, boys. Don't let me down. That Tech Broly, he's so cool.
I hope so. He is so cool.
But
I'm
anyway,
praying, man.
so the other units that we've got to talk about, we briefly alluded to them. There are 10 of them in total. So rather than just go one by one, because they do share a lot of, their passive is essentially is exactly the same. But we finally are getting the EZAs for what we have generally called the 50% support units. I find it really difficult to still not call them that, even though I guess technically they give 60% now. So it's
I'm gonna
Yeah.
call them that because I think a lot of people in their minds have them as that. And
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, especially for us as creators, if people are like looking up these, they're gonna be like EZA 50% support,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, just to simplify
That's true. I mean, I always just call them the type supports. Like that's what I always just said.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, 50% supports. I mean, that's what I'll probably continue to call them for a while. But yeah, so How crazy is that? They're finally EZAing after all of this
I
time.
can't believe it.
Funnily enough, we were
Unexpected.
only just talking about this on one of my streams. Someone brought up, literally, it was like a few days ago. Somebody in the chat was like, "What if they finally bring these guys back at some point and EZA them?" And yeah, there you go.
man.
It's the crystal ball came true. I think everyone was shocked, surprised, flabbergasted. Bro is flabbergasted when we saw the data download, and it was like, there's Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then wait, what? The 50% support units are in here getting an EZA.
Yeah,
like,
I literally I quite literally I opened Twitter to see the data download. I think I blinked twice, and then Gear 5 Luffy, my eyes popped out of my head. I was like, what? Yeah, because obviously these guys have not been back in a really long time. I looked it up actually for the just purpose of seeing what was the hippity hap.
Before you say, is it like
yeah.
2 years? Because that's what I thought it was.
Yes.
Jeez.
These banners have not been back since January of 2022.
That's wild.
Which is insane. And I did not check on this, but if memory serves, it was definitely not like a short time before that they were there, right? Like the time before that they were available was also a really big gap.
Yep.
So obviously these guys have been extremely hard units to obtain for a really long time. So it's nice to see that they're going to be back. And interestingly enough, with the banners, usually they do it where they have it every couple of days. But this time around, they're just doing them all at once. They're all just going to drop on the same day, on the 18th, which is really interesting. I don't know why they're doing it that way, but it's cool, I guess, because there'll be 5 different banners.
All the banners are out. Yeah. So,
yep. Everything.
Yeah, so to break it down, I feel like I've said this 7 times today with the showcases that I've recorded. But yeah, so now with their EZA, each of these guys, they're obviously, Super AGL, Super STR, and so on and so off for all 10 typings. They provide 3 key and 10% support to their typing. So let's say Pan, for example, because she's on screen as I say this, it'll be any AGL characters, Super or Extreme, get 3 key and 10%, but then Super AGL get the 50% still, which means Super AGL gets 60% and 3 key. Then they change orbs, which they have always done. They now get 50% attack and defense per orb obtained, but they get an extra 20% for both and 10% crit chance per orb obtained if they are their specific orb, so for Pan AGL, which means 70% attack and defense and 10% crit chance per orb obtained if it's their typing, which is ridiculous. And then if you have, it's 2 units of their Super or Extreme, depending which they are, 2 other units on the team. They have this one-shot ability where if you're below 50% HP at the start of the turn, they change every single orb on the field into their typing. Which now, funnily enough, in the showcases that I've done, I've actually not had that happen once yet because I feel like they're just so good and the teams that they're on are so good. But obviously in the more difficult content, that is going to happen from time to time. And then you also need to run other units of the same typing, 3 additional units. So for Pan, the example would be 3 additional AGL units, and then they get guard for the first 4 turns. So every single one of them has that passive, basically. Just cut and chop and change the typing, from Super AGL to Extreme STR if we're talking about hit, Super Tech if we're talking about TN, etc., etc. The only thing that actually sets them apart is who the character is, because then their categories and their links and stuff will be different, and then their super attack effects. And some of them are significantly better than others. So, Minato, I know you're wanting to jump in. I'll pass it over to you.
So
Let us know some more.
another thing to clarify is the type that you need for the guard. It doesn't have to be a specific class. It just has to be the type.
the same.
So
yeah.
you could run Pan with I don't know, Alora Mega Shenron, and then it's he'll be in a unit that could help activate her passive or something like that, right? And then for the full orb changing, you do need 2 others. Let's say Pan needs 2 other super class units. Hit would need 2 other extreme class units, but that's really it. Other than that, they're all the same basically in terms of design, and I think they're all, I would say, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's some much better than others.
Yeah.
So I know Ningen, you use 3 of them, so I'll leave 3 of those for you, except for actually I want to talk about this one. Okay, so
I've done
I
4 in
think
total, but yeah.
4 in total. Okay, I will start off with the Int Kid Gohan. I'll just
Yep.
start off with a strong one. That guy is cracked. So
Yep.
Int Gohan, the thing about him that makes him really good, and I think an issue with some of these other support units is that you look at the passive and it's like, oh, 70% per type orb is crazy. Then it's like you look deeper really into it, and there's no multiplicative buffs. So like you get them a lot of orbs, they could reach like 500k, 600k defense with guard at times.
Mm.
I feel like it's a good estimate for a lot of these characters, depending on links and stuff like that.
Yep.
But then obviously grabbing same type orbs as well. But then it's like some characters depending on their super attack effects. No, that might be it. This Gohan though, and same with another unit, raise attack and defense for 9 turns by 50%.
Yeah.
9
Ridiculous.
turns.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's wild.
So, especially if you get an additional with this guy, it's like he's starting off. Let's say he starts off the turn. You grab a couple of orbs, and he's like at 600k defense. Then he gets a double super attack. He's at 1.2 mil defense after that, and then
That's crazy.
Well, isn't
over
it
9
though? I
turns.
thought the greatly raising as part of the super attack effect. I thought, isn't it 50% of like their start of turn defense, not the defense they
No.
have after picking up orbs?
No, so yeah, so like again, it's like say there's at 600 k, then it goes off of that 600k. So every 50%
Oh.
stack would be 300k.
Wow.
Right?
Oh.
That's why that Gohan and Kaba, their defense gets really, really insanely high once they start getting a lot of stacks. So in that scenario, it's at 300k per stack. And again, it depends on how many orbs you get.
Thing is,
Let's
though,
say again, it get like if you get a lower amount of orbs next turn, they're gonna get a lower defense stat. But
Yeah,
it's
but-
always based off of the stats that they have with just the orbs. Right?
So if you pick up the 600, so say they have 600k, and then he does the super, the stack should be 300k. Doesn't that mean at
For
the
that
start of the next turn though, that's not what the stack for 9 turns is it? Because
no,
then,
so like
that's what I
just as
mean.
an
Yeah, like
example
the
for that turn,
permanent
that
stack.
makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, so the stack will vary depending on how many orbs you get.
yeah.
I just gave that as an example, right? So it's like you get him a lot of orbs and he's able to get really high defense. I got him to a point I just stacked through a longer event. Turn 9, I grabbed I got his full passive, right? With the entire orb changing.
Nice.
I grabbed all the int orbs, and then he was at 4, I think it was like 4.2 million defense
Yeah.
in that turn, right? And it's like, oh, that's really good that like the height you can get with these guys. And it's like, let's say against Omega, that's crazy. Then he
Yeah.
ends up doing like a 22 mil attack stat, guarantee critting, and he's providing 50% support. It's just nasty.
60%.
Yeah, 60%.
It's
right?
really-
And then
yeah, that
even
is-
outside of like those rotations.
Yep.
Sorry, go on again.
no, I was just saying, yeah, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then
Yeah, that is
even
wild.
outside of that turn, it's like let's say you get the full orb changing on turn 3. He's still the defense stacks that he gets are still so massive that he's usually still around like 1.5 to even 2 million defense, depending on how many stacks you get. And it's like he's just invincible against any super attack, basically.
Yep.
And then he's still again doing like that 22 mil attack stat pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's just so nasty, and that's also a full heal.
Yep.
When you get that, it's like if you're under 50%, you grab all the orbs with him. He's able to sit in slot 1 very comfortably, and then he gets a full heal. And dude, it just
Dude, I need
actually
to see
how
someone
good
post a
it is.
screenshot, or well, not a screenshot, a clip. A screenshot would do, I guess.
I'll
But
post the
I
clip
need to see
after.
someone post a clip of him double-digit tanking physical fusion to Masu's
Oh,
super attack with
No,
no
that'd
items
be
active.
wild.
Like,
I think he could definitely do that. He definitely.
oh
could do
yeah,
that.
100%. Like, I just need to see it.
Yeah, maybe I'll try
Yeah.
to farm for that. But the in-grade Gohan is just crazy. And keep in mind, it's like you get that turn 3, he's like at over a mil, like 1.5 mil defense with guard on that
Yep.
turn. Right?
Yeah,
And
dude. So this is one of the things that I absolutely love about their design. So the ones that have the raising defense on super, obviously they're going to be better in these longer events. But the fact that all of them have guard for 4 turns. So
Yeah,
that's the
nice.
thing we always talk about with some of these newer units. We talked about it earlier with transforming Vegeta. Like, we're going into these events now, like the Dismal Future Red Zone, where you need to have good defense on turn 1. And these guys, even if you're using them as floating third slot support units, they're getting like 4, 5, 600k defense turn 1 with guard. So they just can't, like, they just don't take damage, apart from, I guess, like taking a super maybe type disadvantage. But if they're any of the characters that actually have defense raising on super, then they're getting even more defense than that as well. And that's the thing that I guess separates the 10 of them in terms of how you would sort of rank them. Is, you know, some of them do get this defense on super. There's a couple that greatly raise, like for 1 turn. The Kid Gohan and I think Kabe both have the 50% for 9 turns, which is ridiculous. I feel like Kabe is one of the ones that I recorded. I think it was the last one I recorded today before I went out climbing. But like, because he's super STR and he's a pure Saiyan that has links like Super Saiyan and Prepared for Battle, so you can put him on teams with units like the GT Duo and some of these other like ridiculous like STR Saiyan characters, and yeah, he's just absolutely ridiculous. It's only unfortunately I haven't done all of them yet. I know physical the Z Sword Gohan, he just has like greatly raise attack for 1 turn. So, but again, like, so the thing is, when you get into longer events, when his guard runs out, if you're not getting a particularly great field of orbs, he could still get up to like 400k defense maybe, but then that's all you get, and he doesn't have guard, so he won't be as good as some of the others in those situations. But they all have that guard for 4 turns, which is really, really good.
I would say Gohan and Kaba are like top 3 of them for sure.
Yeah.
I think like they're probably the top 2 for me. I think another really strong one is actually that AGO Pan. AGO Pan has a 2-turn 30% attack and defense support for all allies.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So obviously, multi-turn support is crazy. And keep in mind, that'll be, since it's on super attack and the super attack effect, that defense is a multiplicative stack. So that'll add to other super attack effects. So like, let's say a character doesn't get like defense on their super attack effect. That's essentially her giving them raises defense 1 turn at the start of turn, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Which is very nasty, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's for all allies. So even the characters she's not supporting. So I've seen, like, I think we mentioned it earlier. I've seen screenshots of people using her on like a GT Heroes team with LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who's an int unit. So she's not supporting him, but her super attack effect is giving him that support for the next turn, which is
that's nice.
Pretty
and then
crazy.
It's like, since she doesn't need specifically super AGO units for her guard, I saw people running. They're running Kai Goku, then the 2 Golden Friezas, and then they had Super Saiyan 4 Goku there, and I saw a screenshot of him at 1,000,000 defense start of turn.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It can get so nasty depending on the setup you're running with her, and if she doubles super attacks, that's 60%. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, one of the characters we alluded to earlier, of course, is the TN, is the super tech character.
The GOAT.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I need to see like an Earthbred Fighters setup or something, right? Because that's what we said back in the day. He was Super Saiyan 3 Goku's best friend because he has over in a flash. He's a Shattering the Limit unit, and he gives 3 key support. So he gives LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku 8 key when he's next to him, as well as 60% like attack and defense, which is actually ridiculous.
I have bad news.
Yeah, that's wild.
No,
don't tell me.
TN's one of the worst ones, isn't he? Unfortunately,
he's either the worst or the second worst.
No,
yikes!
And it's because
what's his super attack effect?
Greatly raise attack for the turn, and greatly lowers attack and defense.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So
I see.
I had, since he doesn't, because at least Gohan has like All in the Family, Brainiacs, Cold Judgment. He gets a lot of defense there. So like there's turns he can reach at least like 700k defenses or so. Tien most of the time hit about 400k defense or under. Unless he got his full nuke passive, then obviously at that point he's like at 1.3 mil-ish. But it's like he's doing that. He's not really hitting hard because at least, again, Gohan at least stacks attack, right? So I think Tien, while tech units, he has like some of the better setups, I feel like, with like Earthbred Fighters and stuff like that. But his link set is still wonky a little bit, right? He's like nice for Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But it's like he can't he's gonna be like a floating unit, I guess, and then it's like are you running a rotation of like 23 World Tournament Goku plus Super Saiyan 3 and then Tien floating? Like, what's gonna happen in the other rotations, right? Where you don't have Tien rotation. It's like very weird, and Tien's not defensive enough to be a someone character. So it's like it sounds good in theory, but since his defense is not high enough,
Yeah.
it can hurt.
It's one of those things though that I do think, coming back to like the design thing, it's one of the things I do think is really good with that design, right? For them having the guard for the 4 turns. And it's not just because they'll be good in these events that are difficult at the beginning, but it's the fact that I think I talked about there's another unit that came out recently that has the 4 turn thing, and I'm trying to remember that we talked about.
Guard is
but
really good for supports.
it's really good for supports, exactly, because a lot of the time, like when we're showcasing them to show you guys how good they are, like we keep them on rotation, but these units really are designed that you put them in slot 3, which then means they don't come back for another 3 turns. So if they only had guard for like 3 turns, then when they came back the second time, they wouldn't have it anymore. So because they have it for 4 turns, it is that spot on number that if you float them off in slot 3 on their very first appearance, when they come back again the second time, they still have that guard. And then if you're floating them off again, they wouldn't be coming back until turn 7. You've probably beaten the event by then, depending which one it is. And that's the first turn where realistically they would be a liability. So even that's the thing, don't misconstrue. Like, even if we say, for example, TN is the worst one, definitely does not mean that he's bad, especially with that ability, right? So yeah, very good.
I think that I don't know why he couldn't have had like at least like a defense raise for 1 turn, because obviously that would push him up to like 500k defense. It's like consistently he's able to be a lot better. But even like 400k defense with guard, I think a majority of the normal attacks in the game you are able to still take, which is nice.
Yep.
And then if he's a 3rd slot character, you could potentially just set the orbs up for him, right? And he still, like all the other characters, has that full heal in his back pocket if you're under 50% HP. And then at that point, especially if he has his guard, he's actually able to sit in someone if you need to put him there. But it's like, again, it's like you look at him and he's like, I think if he's like one of the first ones you use, you're like, oh, he's pretty good. And then you use like Haba or Gohan, and you're like, wow.
You know what else?
Dang.
You know what else I'd like?
Insanely better.
I like second form Cell. Extreme Tech.
I do too.
Because I actually didn't realize until I recorded the showcase for him that basically all of the Cell units are on LR Fusion Zamasu's full 200% leader skill. So on that team, you could have the rotation of like LR merge Zamasu with LR Rose and Zamasu, and then Cell in slot 3. He has big bad bosses, and then he's giving them 60% attack and defense, and so you just get turn 1. I think Fusion Zamasu only got hit like 2 or 3 times in slot 1, and he's dropping like 20 mil attack. It's just like, Fusion Zamasu is an absolute beast.
And because Cell has the greatly raised defense for the turn on the super tech effect, he's still getting like to 800 900k defense, like on average, I think. And obviously he has the full heal. If he gets that, he's really good defensively. There's situations where if he double supers with the full Keystore passive, he can get up to like 2 mil defense, right? Because of how that duplicative stack would work for that turn. Really, really nasty. And I think, funny enough, I think this buff really helped out villains, because it's not just that Tech Cell who's like, again, really good in the Fusion Zamasu team. But actually, in my title, literally, it's like Tech second form Cell is like it's great with Fusion Zamasu. I think that was my title for the video. That it's not up yet, but probably tomorrow. Then what's it called? The Int Vegeta, actually. So it's funny because I looked at him and I actually didn't think he would be that great, because of the fact that he only stacks attack greatly. But I actually did find his defense consistently to get some pretty good defensive, stats, closer to 600, 700k range on average. I don't know if it was maybe my luck with the orbs, but we do want to keep in mind he is also a big bad bosses unit.
Yeah.
And Int's big bad bosses are in a really good spot. Again, I've seen builds where people ran him on Fusion Zamasu's team, and even though he was only under the 150%, you have Rudigarn, Ma Junior, Int Rose, even Int Cell if you want to use him. I've seen situations where he's on Ma Junior's team because he's under Ma Junior's 170%.
Yeah, he's Terrifying Conqueror, isn't he?
Yep. So it's like you have him on that team with Ma Junior, double Ma Junior lead, and then you bring let's say Amin and Raisin, And then you have all three of those, and he's actually really able to work really well with them. So I think the Vegeta, again, you look at him and you're like, maybe because he greatly stacks attack only, but then because of his setups, I think he's in a really good spot with big bad bosses, especially. And I feel like him and Cell really help villain teams a lot, actually. And same with another villain here. I think the Dispatch overall help villains. Ajo Rildo. GT bosses buff unironically, right? So like the setup you read is him on Omega's team. You have the 2 Omegas, then you have Super Baby 2, then that's all 3 EGL characters. And he looks pretty good in GT bosses. I'll let you kind of talk about him because I know you used him too.
Yeah, I did the GT bosses one, and yeah, it's one of those things. GT bosses is a bit of a weird team, but of course Omega, on that team he's pretty good, and you stick him with a unit that's giving him 60% attack and defense. Same with the LR baby. They can look pretty good. And of course, Rildo has greatly raised attack and defense for 1 turn as his effect. So, especially on the turns as well, where you're getting a double super, his defense is really, really good. And it's one of those things that all of these guys, this does apply to, but like nuking style units, they create their own orbs, which is obviously good, but it can still be very RNG based, right? So you can get turns that will be worse than others. But, I got some really lucky turns. Like I think I had at least 1 turn with 1 or 2 of these guys where just through their natural orb changing and me not using any items or anything like that, I was getting like 13 or 14 orbs with them of the same color. And when you think about the fact that if it's their typing orbs, that's 70% per orb and then 10% crit chance. So they're getting like guaranteed crits.
What I would say for Rodo is that the reason why you're probably getting rid like with Rodo is LR Omega does change in orbs to rainbow key spheres, right? So because of that, he probably opened up a lot of key paths, right? For Rodo.
True, that is true.
Allows him to grab more EGL orbs potentially. So that's one thing about him as a leader, right? Which I don't think that like any other really great leader for these characters are also orb changers like that. Like it's just him on that GT bosses team, which I mean, we're kind of almost set with GT bosses low key because we have like those 4 characters. Let's say we get a Dokkan Fest Super Baby in March, and then we get him. We got like the Sub-EZA for like the in Super Baby 2. Then we get potentially another GT bosses banning in it, and then we get those 3 extra characters for the team, and then it's like GT bosses actually will look pretty good in that scenario. I've seen people with no item fusions Zamasu with Rodo on the team because he's able to provide that full heal. You have Omega's revive in your back pocket. GT bosses is low key almost there, actually. I felt like that Frieza and Cellar was actually good. Man,
yeah.
It's like if that Frieza and Cellar was good, I think GT bosses actually could be really solid with Rodo. But it's not there just yet, obviously. But I really do like Rodo because he gives me a little bit of hope. If we get that Super Baby 2 Dokkan Fest this year, we might be cooking.
Maybe.
Who else have we not talked about? Let me take a look here. I think the only 2 left are Hit and Super Boo. We talked about everyone else, did we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because we covered Gohan.
We didn't really talk about Boo. I think Boo is one of the ones who's possibly in one of the worst spots because of he really needs that Buhan EZA and then he'll be back. But
I really can't see Majin Buu like characters this year really get a lot of help. Like, will we finally get the LR Kid Buu? Who knows? Physical Buu tanks. We have Tech Exchange Buu, physical Buu tanks EZA, right? Maybe an LR Kid Buu that's physical. And then maybe things could be looking pretty interesting for physical Buu tanks. I mean, not Buu tanks, for physical Buu right here. But yeah, his only real team is the Android 21 team, which you kind of want to run mostly androids. There is a setup, but I feel like he's more so of like he has potential at least, right? At least he has like that defense raise on super attack. What's really good for him is that 20% heal is crazy on a super attack effect. Like, there could be a situation where you grab, like, I don't know, like, let's say you grab 5 or 7 same type orbs with him. He heals like 20% HP or something from like those orbs that he grabs.
Yeah.
Then he double supers. He heals you like over 50% HP on that turn.
Yeah, and you think
like,
20%, like 20% heal.
20% healing is crazy. Didn't it used to be 15%?
It was
No,
18,
it used to
so
be
it's not really a
18%.
huge
Okay.
increase,
And then
but
I
like
think it was 15% before he awakened. Is
teams
what
have
I'm
like
thinking,
gone up so
probably.
much as well. Like you think we're getting
Yeah.
teams now with like
So it's a
700k.
lot of HP you can heal.
Yeah.
And if that tech exchange with EZAs, I think there'll be a pretty good partnership. So I'm excited for that. But
Yeah.
the last one here is hits, which I did use hit. I'm not sure if you used hit, Ningen. I
I see. Now, Hit is an interesting one because I've seen some people mention it in the chat. Both Hit and Kabe are really interesting buffs for Kale's team, but solely off the back of how good these units are. And not so much about like the support they're providing, because obviously Kale's team doesn't really have super STR or extreme STR units that are any good, really. But because the units are just so good on their own, like teams like hers that desperately needed stronger characters, it like genuinely doesn't matter if they're not supporting anyone. You could just run them on her team and they're really good. And based on the characters you can run, yeah, as long as you're running, because Kabe and Hit both only need STR characters in order to get their 4-turn guard, and it doesn't matter about super or extreme, they obviously are counting as one of the units towards each other's passive as well. So, yeah, Hit was the one I thought was just in the strangest place in terms, apart from maybe Boo, like we said, in terms of who you'd run him with to actually be supporting extreme STR. Because Universe Survival Saga doesn't really have any. There's like that Full Power Frost who's pretty mid. So he's not really like he's on like he's on like Space Traveling Warriors and stuff. So you could run him with like, you know, some of these characters like LR Cooler and stuff like that. But he doesn't really fit on those teams with them. And I think Chaos is only 200% lead as well. But that's just a testament, I guess, to how good these guys are post EZA. Is like, for Chaos team, especially as we said, that needed these buffs, you could just run them on Chaos team regardless of the fact they're not going to be supporting anyone, and they're still good. So very, very interesting.
You run Kale, the 250% supports Kabe and Hit, which again, since they're creating orbs, like both of them, like very consistently getting a lot of orbs with them. I guess you run STR Frost, maybe STR Kepler when she gets her EZA. If that happens this year. Like, what if we get like a Khalifa Dokkan Fest? Maybe like a base.
She's STR, yeah.
Because Super Saiyan 2 Khalifa, STR Kefla EZA, then like another Universe 6 banner unit. And then it's like you have those 3 STR characters, a new Khalifa plus Kale. Then I guess like you could run LR Khalifa, it's less option. And it's like, or no, into Bodamagetta. Right? That guy.
Well, I think what's so good is because their design is so good, these units will age quite well. So yeah, some of these characters that maybe need 1 or 2 upcoming releases or EZAs, and then they'll really be sort of flying, is they will probably still be good as long as we don't have to wait, you know, ridiculous amount of time for those units to come out.
The thing is, Hit greatly stacks defense permanently, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he's at least a stacker unit that has guard for the first 3 turns. His design is a design that's going to age really well.
Yep.
I guess the only downside is like if we get like an LR Hit, just like a standalone LR Hit, it's like maybe that can be an issue for this guy. But
yeah,
if he's like a slot 1 character, then it won't really matter because you could just have this one floating, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, if it's literally just an extreme STR Hit.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah. I mean, Hit does like he does need a new unit. So.
Like him in slot 1, and then the extreme STR Hit in slot 3, and then he's providing 60% support to him. That's my thought, but I don't know. Maybe if they somehow find a way to give him a different name, but I doubt it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, LR
or something like that.
Was it LR God Goku and Hits EZA in the future, of course, would be another interesting one. Plus, I mean, the fact that we're going to get, you know, more so for Kabe for actually supporting him, but for Hit because we want these STR characters. I feel like it's very likely that during the anniversary we'll get the EZA for STR UI Goku. So there's another strong like STR Universe Survival Saga character. Because we know we're getting, well, I say no, Dokkan could still change it out of nowhere, but we basically know we're getting the 6-year anniversary headliners, EZAs. And of course, the STR UI Goku came out before the AGL one. So I feel like his EZA has got to come out during the anniversary. But now one thing that we should talk about, of course, I did see someone mention it in the chat a couple of times already, but I wanted to sort of get out of the way actually talking about the units, is of course the banners. So the banners are coming back, the type banners. They're all coming back at the same time. But then, of course, the big question is going to be, what is going to happen after that? Because, these banners are dropping at what could definitely be considered the ultimate like bait time, right? Because these banners are coming out like less than 2 weeks before the anniversary is going to start. So for a lot of people, even with these guys being really, really good, you're probably not going to want to summon on them right before the anniversary. So as we said at the start of this segment, it's been like 2 years since they last came back. But now that they're getting an EZA, and that event is going to be there in the game, like all the time for people to see in the event section. What do you think that they're going to do? I know, Theo, we talked about a few ideas before we started, so I'll go to you here first. Go through some of those things.
Yeah, me and Ningen, right before the podcast, we were discussing some of the different paths that they could take for, having these guys, like, obviously be more readily available, because obviously, right, like, with the EZA being in the game, just like you said, it kind of doesn't make sense for them to just disappear for another little while. And I guess, technically, it's kind of like, I guess, the SDBH units sort of do that, but these guys are even more rare than the SDBH units. It's just kind of crazy. So, ways that they could remedy, obviously, this is that, for one, right, they could just put them in the general pool, right? That would probably be the best option, and I'm sure the one that the most people would want, because obviously then it would be a lot easier to pull them, it'd be a lot easier to get dupes of them, and then people who don't have them, will probably then be more likely to get them, because right now, obviously, you won't have them unless you've summoned on these type banners or got them with blue coins in the past. Now, in terms of other things that they could do, though, because it kind of seems like that they still want to keep these units kind of exclusive, they could run a weekly rotation where, once a week, a different banner is up. So, like, 1 week it's AGL, 1 week it's Tech, 1 week it's Int, so on and so forth. Or, another thing that they could do would be, obviously, Dokkan has the type-themed days, right? Where, one day is AGL day, the next day is, Tech day, so on and so forth. And they could have the banner rotate every single day, and basically just have the type banner be for that specific day. That, I think, would honestly be really cool, because obviously it would go along with the whole type thing. And not to mention, it would bring back the banners super frequently. And that would also be the case of, like, if you miss the banner, don't worry, next week it will be back and you can summon on it once again. So it's not like if, you didn't get the opportunity, you wouldn't be able to. So, there are definitely some options for things that they could do, for sure. Now, whether they want to be generous to us and do all of these things, or simply just, do what they've always been doing and just kind of not bring them back again for 2 years is, of course, a real possibility, unfortunately. But obviously, it just seems a little bit weird to do that with the EZA area. As one other thing that they could do for sure too, and obviously this definitely wouldn't be as good, I feel like. But obviously, since they are available in the blue coin banners, when the banners are actually up for those type banners, right? They're available for 300 blue coins a pop. They could also have those units be permanently available from blue coins. That would be a way to obviously, like, promote people summoning on those blue coin banners. And obviously get people to be able to, actually summon on banners to have them, because right now, like, the only banner that you would ever even summon on that has it is the Heroes banner, and I guess if you need Kais, then the Kai banner, you also get blue coins, but, like, I don't think there's too many people summoning on the Kai banner, but that is definitely something else that they could do, and I guess at least they would technically be available all the time, but I think obviously it would just be better if they were summonable, so.
I have an idea, too. This is my idea that I actually thought about. I know you're bringing up all, like, the daily, weekly rotating things. I don't know if they would do that. Like, if it would be like, because they could, I guess, set it rotating, like, in the back and just like events and stuff like that. But it'd be kind of weird to see new banner every day, I guess. I don't know. I feel like And it'd be annoying to have to go in and clear the tab when it says new every day. Oh God.
I mean, they could
can't
just
really
make it
imagine
so it
that.
doesn't do that, right?
Yeah,
Like
they could
it,
just swing it so it doesn't. And not to mention, it would
I
also
would
not be
say
in the main tab. It would also be in the like where the category banners are. That would be where they would put it if they're going to do that, I would think.
I would say what I think they're actually going to do. It's either one of the two. One, I think they're going to put them in the general banner, just like the pool, right? Just like they did with Toa, Mira, and Demigirl when they got their EZAs and were reintroduced to the pool. But again, these guys are kind of a little more exclusive, right, to those type banners. And it depends on if they want to bring these banners back. But if they put them in the general pool, we will actually be able to likely see that when the 9th anniversary banners drop, obviously.
True.
And these banners do leave on the 30th, I believe, of the month. So the anniversary banners should drop before then. Before
Yeah,
these
the
banners drop.
29th usually. Yeah.
If we take a look here, these banners leave on the 29th on the 30th at 12 a.m. Pacific time. So like we're at the 30th for my time zone. Last year, the anniversary banners did drop on the 29th at 3:18 a.m. in my time zone. So that was within the same day before the anniversary banners. No, so like these type banners, if it's the same schedule that the anniversary banners drop, which usually a lot of times is the same schedule, it'll be these banners will be up. These banners leave only 24 hours after the anniversary banners go up. And if they're in the general pool, then they will actually be in the general pool for those banners.
Right.
We've seen that, like even with like let's say the Peppy Girls banners, right? Let's say remember when Sheila and Foster came out?
yeah.
On the next banner, even though that their banner was still up, the next banner that came out, we saw them unfeatured, right?
Dude,
There's been
that would
times like
actually
that.
be crazy if they were
That would
in the
be
general
nuts.
pool for the anniversary banners.
That would be
That'd
amazing. Well,
yeah.
that would be a great anniversary. Hello?
Or my other idea, which is if they want to keep these more exclusive, is rather than them rotating daily or weekly, they bring out the type banner associated with the new type of the Dokkan Fest.
Yes.
So let's say the
That'd be
Dokkan
cool.
Fest. Let's say the next anniversary Dokkan Fest, it's like Super AGO and then I don't know, Super Physical, right? As the next anniversaries, they bring back those type banners for that banner. The part two, let's say the Carnival R is like an extreme I don't know, an extreme AGL cell, and then like some like super physical Jiren or something, just random. They bring back again the type banners again, but because they usually don't bring two types in the same row, right? For characters.
Right.
So like it could be really nice so that it's like, okay, you pull the new Dokkan Fest, they're this specific type. Here's a banner unit that
Yeah.
supports their type that could potentially work really well.
Yeah, that would be
like
nice.
the type banner, right? And then
That would be
it'll
cool.
bring back both because luckily it's not like 10 separate banners, it's just 5 separate banners. So like you could summon for like let's say I don't know, Super AGL unit comes out, you could still get the Extreme AGL Roto, and you're like, oh cool, I can use this for my G2 bosses team, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
True.
plus the other thing to mention as well that Theo and I talked about briefly in our chat before the podcast is that those banners, a lot of people used to like having a go at summoning on them, not just because of the 50% supports, but because those banners also have all the LRs of that typing unfeatured. And at certain points during the years, those banners have technically been statistically the most likely place to pull a specific LR of a certain typing. So you could imagine, for example, like when the Super STR banner, if it comes back at a certain point, not only are Hit and Kabe two of the better of those units, but that means you could pull units like LR Bulma from that banner.
Yep, from the
Yeah.
SCR banner, yeah.
So
Which
I
is
would
nice.
say another reason why they may feel more comfortable with bringing back these banners at a regular basis is because back then there's way more yellow coin LRs throughout the year, and maybe they didn't feel as comfortable since there's so many. But now with the introduction of Carnival LRs, we get like half the amount of yellow coin LRs, right? Or even like less than half of the amount of yellow coin LRs we used to get.
Yeah.
So maybe they feel like, okay, since we made these Carnival coin LRs, there's not going to be as many new LRs on these banners unfeatured. So we feel more comfortable bringing these out, even though they would have the best chance, because they have the best chance to like pull those LRs unfeatured, right? Even with the 7% featured rate, I think that's like kind of their thought process, maybe a little bit. But yeah, I think it just depends on how exclusive they want to make it. Because I saw
Yeah.
someone in chat saying, "Oh, it would take so long for a certain type to come back." I don't think it would be that long because if it's like with carnival banners and then with like it'd be every banner, not just Dokkan Fest. So Dokkan Fest, carnivals, etc., etc. Every 2 weeks we get a new banner with a new character, and it just has to be that specific type.
Yeah.
So it won't be too long before the next one comes back around. Maybe at most, like let's say 3 or 4 months, but usually we're able to cover the bases there, and then you could
Yeah.
just save up stones for that specific type banner that you would want. And that's again that depends if they want to keep it exclusive. Maybe they'll just make them unfeatured on every banner, and we don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah,
I would
so
hope
Cool
so.
now.
You
But
know,
luckily, again, there is going to be that time frame, so you could wait and see. You could literally
yeah,
just like save your stones, don't summon, and then see what the anniversary banners are like. Summon on the anniversary banners, and then if these banners are likely still up, then you could like, oh, I have a lot of leftover stones. I want to get STR Kabe for my STR LR Beast Gohan
yeah,
team, and you summon on that banner.
yeah,
big.
that's so yeah, definitely be interesting to see what they decide to do. But yeah, these banners are releasing. We'll know what's going on with the anniversary not long afterwards. So I guess it's one of those things. If you are a little bit torn or so whether to summon for them, obviously the banner will still be up when we find out what's going on with the anniversary units, what their typings are,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So, you know, as much as it sucks to do so, I know we all be itching to summon a lot of the time. But
It's
yeah,
time
just
to save.
exactly hold
know-
off just to see, and then you can obviously make a more informed decision on whether you should summon or not. They're definitely very, very good units. So I guess another Dokkan W, considering, you know, we just talked
Yeah.
about LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then we got these guys not only getting the EZA, but actually being very good. But of course, it is going to very much be a case of what happens after those banners go. Because if it does, worst case scenario, they disappear for another like year, then it's still
Right.
going to be the case where these units are really good, but then like 95% of the player base don't have them or don't have all
Yeah.
of them. Because I have all of them, but only at 55%, except for Hit and Kabe,
Yeah.
who both have 2 dupes. So, funnily enough, both the STR ones, but all the other ones, I
That is
literally
cool.
only have 1 copy of them. So, it's. Do you have
See-
any missing, Minato?
I'm missing like most of them. I think the only one I have is the Super Boo, because I remember when Super Boo came out, who was really good. I think I have the hit. I might have the Kaba, but I think that's it. Let me actually double check in my box, but I don't have most of them, and I think it's just super unfortunate that they're dropping for me right before anniversary.
Yeah. They're
But
trying to get you.
luckily,
It
my
ain't a
plan is-
problem for me, baby. I would have been ready for this for years.
my plan is literally just to, I mean, these characters aren't necessary. I think like obviously
Yeah,
they're not
definitely
necessary
not.
characters. They'd be nice to have, but I'm fine with waiting. But I'll summon on the anniversary banners first, and I'm gonna see like
That's a
how
good
that
idea.
exactly goes, and then maybe if I get lucky enough. But yeah, like see, I don't have Pan. Pan is a character I don't have. I don't think I have the Rildo either.
Yeah.
No, I don't have the Rildo as another character. I just literally do not own, which sucks because the Rildo could be so nice for GT bosses. I'm pretty sure I don't have the GN. But yeah, there's I'm pretty sure I have I have the Kabe, the Hit, and then the Boo. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. So
Gotcha.
I'm missing something. I'm considering it. We'll see. We'll see.
But yeah,
I'll probably
that's
just gotta wait.
Time to
Yeah.
activate whale mode, Minato. Summon on the type banners
Exactly.
and then whale out on the anniversary banners.
Okay,
you
so
know.
I do have Kaba and
Okay.
Hit. Okay, that's good, but they're only
That's
55%.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, yeah, I most of mine only have like 1 dupe at max.
Yep.
But I actually I'm only missing Kaba and Hit.
Okay.
And I'm sure some of you probably saw my tweet about it. I have been saving my blue coins for a long time in preparation for these. I have basically, since the last type banner came out,
Yeah.
I have been saving my coins. And it's kind of crazy because you know, obviously most of my coins come from the heroes banners. And the what's so wild about it, like, just to think about is that it was literally God Trunks was the heroes banner that these guys came out after.
Damn.
So I've been saving blue coins since then. I have about 700, and thankfully, from looking at the coin shop from the last time they were there, they're about 300 a pop, they are 300 a pop rather. So I'll be able to buy the two I'm missing, which is only Kava and Hit, so that's
Nice.
cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, I would like to rainbow them. Obviously, that would be really cool. But, as it stands right now, there's just more value in summoning on other banners that, aren't necessarily the type banners. And obviously, if they do end up getting put in the featured pool, then of course at that or unfeatured pool rather, then obviously it'd be, you just rainbow them over time. So
I think what I'll probably do is actually if I get really lucky in the anniversary banners, then I'll probably go for the Gohan and then the Pan after. I actually don't really care about the tech banner, to be honest. But I would like to get them eventually. So just hopefully they just bring them back.
Yeah, hopefully that's the thing that'll be interesting is hopefully they do make us aware of what's going to happen, like, with enough time to kind of make that decision, because it'll suck if you like decide to summon for them and then they get put in the pool, or you decide not to summon for them and then they don't come back for like a year. Because it's like I'm trying to remember which characters it was. I think it was the Fusions characters when there was the second Fusions banner.
Like
I can't remember when we found out, but obviously they went into the general pool afterwards. And I remember, I can't remember who it was, someone I saw, like, basically summoned on that banner until they rainbowed everyone, because we didn't know they weren't going to then be available again straight away afterwards. So hopefully we do get to know with enough time to decide how to summon. But yeah.
These guys, are, even at 55%, they'll still be usable because they have the guard ability.
Right? Oh, yeah, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, especially like Kid Gohan and Kabe, right? They should, especially be so nice. So if you really want to snag a copy, sure, 7% feature, which is nice, but anniversary is right next, so I would say safe.
Yeah.
Plus, it depends, of course. Imagine depending on what the typings of the anniversary characters are, and then they could pair really nicely with some of these guys as well, depending on what characters and what categories and stuff. So I guess we shall have to wait and see. So
hey, real quick before we move on from that, there is one thing that I just wanted to mention just real quick, because I don't think I've seen anyone talk about it. Do y'all remember that at one point the type banners were only 3 multis or something like that you could do? Do you think there's a possibility of that?
Didn't they do a thing during...
They would have noted that, I think. They would have said that.
I would have thought so too, but...
Yeah, didn't they do a thing during one of the big celebrations where you could do 1 multi and then the banner disappeared or something? Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
It just says the gacha. I would assume they would say we could only do one only, especially since they're EZAs.
Yeah, since they're EZAs,
I
think it would. Yeah, that would be wild. But...
That would be stupid, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I see. That was my exact thought too. I was like, man, that would be really dumb if it was only 1 multi. But I mean, I guess unfortunately it's possible.
No, I think they want the bait. They want people to go in. This is why we were saying
Gohan's coming.
Yeah, this is why we were saying beforehand. I think the best option is for these banners to be there permanently, whether it's on a daily cycle or a weekly cycle or whatever, because we've talked about it in the past before. If you just think about the bottom line of gacha game business, having those banners be there essentially permanently means people will be more likely to summon on them at random times and stuff, right? So, and at the end of the day, that is what they want. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, and we will hopefully find out soon. We'll let you guys know, of course, as soon as we know. And these guys are all very good. Look forward to coming to Global. Annie is correct, of course, with the fact that with this a little bit of unsurety on JP, at least we know for Global, if these guys are releasing in a similar sort of time frame, even if it is before the anniversary, we'll know what the anniversary is. We'll know what the typings of the characters are. We'll even know the couple of characters that came out afterwards and stuff like that. And of course, we'll then know if they're staying in the game and everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's that is very good for us.
I'm hoping, because it will it'll literally be either they'll say it in the news or they just won't say anything, and it will either just be peak or disappointment when they're not on the banner.
We
or are on the banner.
See. All right, so we're going to be moving on to. Oh yeah, we actually have another segment before the end. I forgot how. I guess we'll talk about this one. Do we want to go? I guess we could maybe not super deep dive on this. I guess.
We could wait till next week, but it's just
Yeah, I mean, it's just something worth mentioning, right?
Yeah.
just a
So
little touch,
very
I guess.
briefly, then we'll
Yeah.
talk about the anniversary teasers. We've had 2 so far. I think we talked about the last one. Yeah, because the last one was last Friday, wasn't it? The very first one. We talked
Yeah.
about the Battle of Gods one, what that could potentially mean. Since then, we have seen a Resurrection of F themed one. So that kind of goes back to something that we talked about when the first one came out, where, you know, if the next one is Resurrection of F, maybe the next one after that could be Broly, and then superhero, maybe it's tied to movies. So just, I guess, very quickly, because we could do a big discussion on this next week, because we may have seen another teaser since then. Has this changed what you guys were expecting, or is it in line with what you were expecting? What do you think? Minato, start with you.
I think that it doesn't really change too much because at the end of the day, my expectations are either UI Goku Beast Gohan or Gogeta Blue. I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this confirms movies," but not necessarily. They dropped this teaser trailer earlier than we expected them to. It was 5 days instead of 7 days. So a lot of people are thinking in another 5 days after that trailer, on the 15th, we'll get one.
Yeah.
Then on the 20th, we'll get another one. And then the 21st is the fan meeting. So people are thinking maybe it will lead up to the fan meeting. So, like, what if we get, like, I don't know. It'd be weird because will we get a Universe 6 teaser? Because there's, like, no good animations, right? They're trying to do good animations. So, like, it'd be really funny. So if they don't do that, then it's what? Future Saga? And then will they show Universe Survival Saga teaser? If there's a teaser for Universe Survival Saga before the reveal, then I'm assuming it's going to be movies. But if there's not, then Universe Survival Saga is still in the game.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they'll split Future Saga into 2.
Well, yeah, they could do like, because Future Saga is long enough that they could definitely do the beginning and then the second half. So,
yeah, or they could do like the very start of Turnaround of Power and not actually dip into it. And then it's like, oh, like it's leading up to the actual Tournament of Power before it actually begins. And then it ends with Goku just like doing like, and then he's like facing Jiren or something.
dude, now that you said that about the Universe 6 trailer, that is such a funny like thought in my mind, like watching all those garbage Universe 6 animations play out for the trailer, like they're trying to hype it up like it's gas.
There's like no way, right? Because it's like we get these great animations. That's why I think Universe 6 is like going to be something we see later in the year. But
yeah, that would make sense. I mean,
they could do Future Saga, and then it could be like the very start of the Tournament of Power, but then if it's like the Tournament of Power trailer shows like UI Goku blasting Jiren, then it's like, well, since it's part of the leading up trailer, it probably would end up being like Gogeta and Gohan, but who knows?
I'd be okay with that still.
Maybe there's not another trailer. This is just all speculation.
Yeah, and it's very interesting as well, the fact that, because the thing about the was it Flow and the F song as well?
Yeah.
Which is interesting because they are very specifically like Battle of Gods and Resurrection of F. Like related,
I'm so excited, by the way, for that that Frieza song.
Dude, that Frieza song is gas. I love that. It's so good.
I've listened to that song religiously since high school, bro. I like every day basically walk into American history class, like in the hallway, I just
I mean, to be fair,
it's so good.
Like, maybe they use those 2 songs for that, and then the Trunks, if it's like a Future Trunks Saga one, that's where they use the Dragon Ball Super opening, the first one.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then for the Tournament of Power one, they use the Learn Breaker X Survivor, right? Maybe that's what they can be doing, but.
You know what they could do too, if they're gonna put more songs, they could also easily put the endings, because obviously there's so many endings to Super that are way more than the openings, and a lot of the endings for Super are highly underrated. They're super gas.
Back was crazy.
That's such a good ending. Anyway.
Very cool.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting, right? Because obviously it could be they could be going through the different super arcs, right? Where, it eventually will lead up to, the Tournament of Power and then maybe superhero. It could be movies specifically, right? Where it will end up being like Gogeta and Gohan Beast.
I mean, even if it's like leading up to Super, it could still be Gohan and Gogeta.
Yeah, oh yeah, it could still be Gohan and Gogeta because obviously those are the two most like recent things that we have for Super. I mean, I will say, listen, I know it's probably not gonna happen. I think you know what I'm probably about to say, but it would be like just. I don't think it would be really that hype because we already have so many we have a bunch of stuff from it already. But could you imagine if it actually was just Battle of Gods and Resurrection F? That would be so disappointing.
No way. What
I
I
don't
was
think
thinking
there's
is
any way.
how funny it would be because I was like, it's like, come on, Beast Gohan is like coming, right? But it's like, imagine how the community would react if everyone's hyping themselves up for Beast Gohan, and then it's just UI Goku and Gogeta.
That's true. That's true,
man.
Because that's like the third possibility that no one's talking about because we're all like Beast Gohan, like he has to become.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that too, like Beast Gohan, but there would be some sorts of funniness to it if it's Blue Gogeta and UI, and then it's like, oh yeah, we got Beast Gohan last year.
yeah, least Gohan. Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is the same time frame where AGO Gogeta Blue came out for New Year's. I think it was like New Year's end of 2018, and then for the 9th anniversary 2020, we ended up getting the LR Blue Gogeta. So it could be a thing where end of 2022 we get Beast Gohan for New Year's, then start of 2024 LR Beast Gohan again.
That would be dope. I mean, yeah, there's still some possibilities, and I think the cool thing is, right, the great thing about them doing these trailers, and I really like it when they do this sort of thing where they do something that's a little bit more unique, in terms of like trying to really give us a nice teaser, because like last time I feel like was probably one of the most like clear times as to what like the anniversary was going to be with the teaser trailers, excuse me. Like, not that it was like I guess obvious, but I think it was just a lot more apparent than like it has been this year. And like another good example of that was when they did like Goku's Masters, right? I think that one was a really cool one for going through all of his different masters for those trailers.
7th anniversary.
Yeah, that one was one of my personal favorites. But yeah, like when it comes to, these trailers, I think it's so cool that they do this sort of thing because, obviously not only does it lead to a lot of speculation and discussion within the community, but it just makes things all the more exciting, right? Obviously, it's just, makes it way more hype, than somebody just telling you, hey, here it is, right? Yeah. Obviously, having the, the kind of teaser always makes it a little bit more fun. So that's pretty cool.
I would say, low-key, to be honest, I think that like if we're talking about just like the characters that are gonna be it, and a lot of people are saying Gogeta. Just going back generally, I think chat is agreeing with this, is what I'm thinking. But there's like so many Tournament of Power EZAs that are like literally right there, and it's like I feel like just Tournament of Power has to be such a big thing because there's so many hype Tournament of Power characters. Like in 2020 is right there. It's like, what were the EZA for Blue Gogeta? It's like Physical, Dragon Ball Super Broly, the trio. And then it's like, who else are you gonna EZA really?
Yeah.
Well, Tournament of Power, there's so much to grab on. I would almost argue Tournament of Power is like almost like a little bit of a shoe-in, especially if they're leading up to it. I could so easily see the last trailer being like them recruiting the members for the tournament.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And then it's like we see them like at this like getting ready for the tournament right before it begins. On the in the void. But yeah.
I'll be like the bit at the end of the bit at the end of the intro where it's just like the 10 of them all like stood in a line as like teaming.
Yeah,
classic shot.
That'd be cool.
I think that'd be so cool. And it's like maybe imagine this in the background. Would you see like Beast Gohan just like slowly in?
It's like that John Cena meme where he like peels back the wall and he's like, that would literally be that. Yeah.
I mean, because like. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, that would be like hitting like just like I mean, it could be a thing where it's like hitting just at Tournament of Power, and people are like, "Oh, it's just Tournament of Power," and then during the fan meeting, they're like, "Here's Beast Gohan's art."
Yeah,
like, Right.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it is kind of crazy to think because most likely the fan meetup will be where we see like, where we get the official
Arts.
confirmation and the arts and everything. So
We'll see
that
the
will be
banners too.
that'll be very
Based
cool.
on last
Yeah,
year, we
they
saw
do show the banners, yeah, which will be nice. They are streaming that. I'm sure probably all three of us will be streaming our reactions to it. I know I will.
Yeah.
I think it depends
already
what time it
know.
is again for me, but
Yeah, that'll be cool. I know, funny enough, didn't they also schedule the part 2 stream already?
yeah, it's
saw,
like 20 days from now or something, isn't it? Like
So they're
28
Yeah.
days or something.
This was confirmed a while ago, but they actually already confirmed again the part 2 fan meetup. They're gonna stream that as well. But Ningen, I do have the link to the fan meetup that we could just give you real quick.
Yeah, I think I clicked it on Twitter like today or yesterday. It's like 28 days or something. It's live or like, yeah, it's crazy.
For like
Yeah.
the part 2 one, yeah. So it's like they're ready already for the part 2 one. So I
Yeah,
think that's-
they're really prepping themselves, which is nice to see that they're prepared. Because sometimes I feel like Dokkan just like does these funny things, and it's just like, oh, okay, guys, it really feels like you didn't plan this out, but all right. So it's
Yeah,
nice to
so
see.
right
that,
there is a
you know.
tweet with the link to the video.
Yeah.
Just want to see. I don't know.
The nice thing, by the way, chat, is that if you want to see when that live stream is going to be for you, if you literally just go to the YouTube link, it will give you a countdown timer to the exact time that the stream is for you. So that is pretty handy. So yeah, and that applies obviously for the part 1 and seemingly the already part 2 stream that we have. So that will be pretty cool. I do hope that we get to see some stuff from the event. I know obviously any JP users who are invited, I'm sure will be posting pictures, so we'll try and find some stuff for that. And I know actually, this is the last thing I'll say about this. I believe his name is Enrico. I think that's his name. He's I believe he's a Spanish speaking. It might be Spanish or French. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's Spanish though. Dokkan content creator, and he actually got invited to the fan meetup. And
Nice.
I know,
Yeah. I saw that.
yeah, he was talking about that he may actually go. So that would be really cool if he does, because then we would get a little bit of an inside view to what's the
It'll
hippity
be
hop.
giving
So
us
that'd
the
be pretty
early
sick.
deets.
Yes, exactly. So that would be pretty sick. But yeah,
I mean, it's gonna be
So-
streamed anyways, but still.
yeah, I know, but like it'll be cool to see. At least for me, I always enjoy like seeing the actual event and like pictures from the event and
Yeah.
stuff. So that would be really cool. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's so close, because I feel like anniversary was so far just like a little while ago, and now it's
Yeah.
right around the corner. So
So yeah,
Oh,
it's be interesting to see what's going to happen. Like I say, by the time we are back here next week for next week's episode, we may have seen another teaser. We may even have seen some confirmation on some things. Who knows? Maybe there'll even be some leaks. I know it doesn't happen much anymore, but who knows?
Yeah.
Next week, everything we know could have changed significantly. So we shall wait
Well, it
and
sounds
see.
like the fate of the world is
I know, right?
in the balance.
But
It
next
is.
week we'll definitely have another trailer.
This Dokkan stuff
And
is
then-
serious.
We might even have the data download for the anniversary teaser images.
Yeah,
by
so-
next
Oh, the
podcast.
countdown images. That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Because
yeah,
it's like-
definitely tune in next week for more information relating to the anniversary. As always, we keep you guys up to date with everything that has been going on during the week. That is what we try to do here. So yeah, we are going to be moving into the final segment of the show, which I know is a lot of people's favorite. Before we do that, I just want to give you guys another reminder. If you would like to help support the podcast, if you have any questions, any shout outs, any comments, anything you want us to see specifically, to read, to answer, anything like that, all donations and super chats will be read out at the end of the show, which will be after this segment. So shout out to anyone who has done so already. They have all been noted down, and they'll be read out at the end, along with any more that come in right up to when we're in that section, right? So if you have something you want to get in there, feel free to do so at any time. All very much appreciated, and those will be read out once we are done with, drum roll, the trash takes segment. I know you guys are a big fan of this one. I know it's often a fun part, and a little bit of a precursor. You guys know last week we had an interesting take that was, I think, one of the first times for a while, pretty much just unanimously voted as like a W take. I think most people agreed. As always, there's like a little bit of nuance we kind of got into where there could be some, areas for more detail and potential disagreement. But overall, it was a pretty good take that people agreed with for the most part. And unfortunately, even though the segment is called Trash Takes, we try and get these hot takes. Sometimes we agree with them, sometimes we don't. People were a little bit disappointed that they agreed, because people like to see the spice, I guess. So I told you guys that this week, when it was my turn to pick one, I told you guys that I got you with a take. I would pick an actual spicy take. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and jump in for the trash take for this week. And here it is. So this week's take comes to us from JE, which according to the we can assume stands for Juicy Ed, who says AGL LR Vegito Blue is absolutely ass and no one likes to play him. Really, you only play him in hard events when you need a tank. He does not deal any serious damage, even fused. 8 million on radar. I'm not sure if that's a misspelling.
I think that means like the attack stat.
Yeah, I don't know. 8 million attack stat is nuts for a big celebration unit post fusion. So as always with these takes, we did try to reach out and get a comment. We did get a very brief reply from Juicy Ed that says, yeah, in my opinion, he just feels like AGL Golden Frieza until he fuses.
What?
And the only point where you take him with you is the defense. And if, in capitals, you manage to fuse somehow, brackets, mid conditions as well, because you demolish almost any event in under 5 turns right now, the event is almost over. I don't care. So...
Wait, was I don't care in there?
I think about it. It ends with and IDC, which I'm assuming is I don't care. Right? So the event is almost over before you even get a chance to fuse, is what he's saying. So I know for a fact, I want to let Theo go first, because I know for a fact that Minato is chomping at the bit to get to this one. So Theo, if you want to give us your initial thoughts before we take the leash off of Minato over here.
Yeah, so like, listen, it's okay to have an opinion, but it's also okay for your opinion to be wrong as well. This is just surely one of the most ridiculous things that I've seen. Juicy Ed, certainly, living up to the name, as it were, taking these juicy takes. So... obviously, I understand where he's coming from in the pre-transformed, because obviously, we all know the memes of the 1 million attack stat with the blue boy sitting there, it definitely wasn't a good look for the character. But, Vegito Blue is just, he's him. He is literally him, right? If I'm thinking of a unit who is just that guy in Dokkan, that would be the one that I would think of, right? He's just one of, the most cracked units in the game. And also, comparing him to AGL Golden Frieza is just, I'm flabbergasted, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say.
I think the AGL Frieza thing is supposed to be just a comparison to, pre-transformed. They're a defensive unit, but they don't do any damage, I guess is, the comparison is supposed to be, but even then,
so, if I was if someone put okay, which unit is the defensive king, I would pick AGL Golden Frieza. He's notoriously the defensive big boy. He's just been cracked since he came out in that regard. But
yeah,
I don't know. Either way, though, I think that this sounds to me, right. This will be the last thing I say about this, and then we'll let the boy go feral. I hate to say this, right? I'm going to say this in a nice way, and I'm going to say this in not such a nice way. This sounds like this guy has just honestly had trouble with the unit, or has really only been using the unit at 55%, and maybe has just been struggling with the conditions a little bit. That maybe it has come to a place of frustration, right? I don't know if my man has not, used a rainbow friend on the friends list or something like this. But in other words, skill issue. That's the
skill issue I fear.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Renato, let us Imagine you're a Beyblade and let it rip.
Dude, I'm just okay. So it's really funny because this person is like, "Oh, Vegeta Blue is absolutely ass, right?" And then it's like, in my opinion, he feels like an Ajo Golden Frieza, but Ajo Golden Frieza is like Dokkan as it said, it's like that's such a weird comparison because
Yeah.
Ajo Golden Frieza is known for being like the best aging character ever, and
Yeah.
how good he is even still now. So it's like, how are you gonna make that comparison? Are you gonna say Vegeta? Are you saying Vegeta's gonna be because Vegeta's gonna be one of the better aging characters in the game because of how strong he is defensively? This character is right, and I think an issue is that so much of the stats that you don't see with that you see with this character are like somewhat misleading, right? And I can't necessarily blame people for like seeing that, and because it's a little like forward facing misleading because his even defensively, right? You see that starter turn defense set, you're seeing about 500k or something like 400 500k with that, and you're just like, oh, that defense is quite low. Even if I have the guard and high chance to dodge and he's doing no damage, but that defense shoots up a lot because he gets 150% within the turn, right? That you don't actually see. He's stacking and everything like that. I think he's much stronger defensively than people actually probably give them credit for. Um, I think there is a point where he doesn't do serious damage, before he's transformed, at least if he's in slot 1. But like the thing about post fusion saying even fused 8 mil on the radar is nuts for a big celebration unit. You're just like casually leaving out the fact that not only is he super effective, and that's likely like I don't know, maybe it was free dupe, but I see my Vegeta Blue hit like consistently over 10 mil once he's fused. Um it's like he's also super effective. Then he does like 3 or 4 additional super attacks. If he gets the active skill, he has guaranteed dodge whilst doing that. And then with the with the actual like amount of damage that's built up, he's doing like a 10 mil into like a 6 mil into a 7 mil to an 8 mil. And then you add them all together, and it's like, oh, he's doing a lot of damage while being super effective. Then he probably has potentially guaranteed guard, not guaranteed guard, guaranteed dodge during that turn.
Yeah.
And then it's something where it's like you take a look at that first attack stat, and it's like 8 mil. Oh my god, he sucks. And then you're disregarding everything else the character is doing.
Yep.
And then saying he's completely ass.
It's
I would almost say it's like again I'm trying to say it's what's the word for it?
bait.
Like,
Ignorant.
a little bit like a little disingenuous, just a little bit, because I feel like you're purposefully leaving off all the things the character is doing, and maybe it could be a little ignorant, like not like it's just a little bit. And I'm sure this is this person's experience with the character, but you're leaving out so many of the things that make the character good and just highlighting them at what they're doing at their worst, when you could do that with like any unit in the game. Orange Piccolo sucks because against Omega he couldn't eat a super attack in slot 1, and I had troubles getting key with him because the key sphere field wasn't good. Like I can say that. Oh my god, and he sucks, right? I think that
Shoot, I'm afraid.
yeah, or it's like Orange Piccolo doesn't work well on his teams. I use him on freaking I don't know, let's say I use him on Power of Wishes, and he only shares 2 links with the GT duo. He sucks. Like I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like you're leaving off so many things about the character and how he performs in game. It almost is like you watched a YouTube video of him and then you're giving your opinion of him. Because I think a lot of people actually use the character, like even if you feel he's overrated, even if you don't think he's that great, to say that he's completely ass is just wrong.
Yeah.
Even.
And honestly, I think that the fusion condition is an issue. I personally think that people overplay how bad it is to get the fusion condition. It's not the greatest ever. Like if you get them on like slot 7, you're not seeing that fusion condition, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's more often if you get them turn 1 than people like to give credit for, especially since they're a defensive slot 1 character. It's like you're pretty likely to get to turn 5 like that, because it's not like you're running full damage to either team. They're there. The only issue I have with this unit is, again, if they're turn 5 and they can't fuse, then you're a little bit screwed, but that's really it. they're so valuable with their leader skill, especially leading every super class character in the game under their leader skill, whilst being a super strong slot 1 character for most of the fight, is crazy. And such a good link set with that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, so this is the thing. Like I just said in the chat, the fact that there's actually people voting W take is kind of crazy to me. If they're not just doing it for the memes, because this is what this is what I put in the chat. Right? Remember, the take isn't that he's mid or that he's difficult to use. The take is literally saying it's up on the screen. Right? The take is that he is absolutely ass, which is just like so categorically an L take. Is unbelievable. Because one of the things that made me laugh and one of the reasons why I wanted to pick this is because it says that he's ass and no one likes to play him, but then the next line is you only play him in hard events when you need a tank. What you mean, one of the most useful roles on the team being a slot 1 defensive unit? It's like
exactly.
It's like he's literally saying in the take you only run him when you want a good slot 1 defensive unit. It's like, yeah, it's funny that is exactly why I run him on most of the teams that I run him on.
The thing that 97% of the units in the game can too.
Yeah.
And you know, the other thing is too, like, you know, obviously it is definitely a little like hypocrisy there, of course, you know, oh, no one runs him, and then, you know, oh, well, I only run him. But also, if we're picking this apart like we like to do, saying the fact that nobody runs this unit is abysmal to say, because not only, of course, when he came out, people were running him like crazy, but even today on the Twitter timeline, I see people talking about this man all the time. I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't see this guy's card art on my timeline with somebody talking about him. Like, clearly people play with him.
My theory of what's going to happen is a lot of people have this guy at, like 3 dupe, maybe 1 dupe. And the verse is going to roll around. They're going to grab a couple copies extra of him with coins or get him from summoning. Then they're going to be using him at like 90%, even Rainbow 79%. But they're going to be like, oh my God, this guy was so underrated by the community. It's like,
no, by you.
It's like, no. Like, oh my, like the day I can't wait to see just a Vector tweet. He's like, you know, I'm actually warming up to this guy. He's like a 90% now. I don't know, man. Or like an Alan Dokkan or something, you know. I just like, I do think that this character is underrated by a majority of the community, and I think a lot of it is again the disappointment in him not having like a really easy transformation condition, like just turn 5 or turn 4. I think that's very fair, right? I think he should have had an easier transformation condition, but that doesn't mean that the character is bad at all.
Yeah,
you could think he's boring.
Yeah,
but the character's still really good. I think there's a difference.
Yeah.
And yeah. But
the thing is as well, like someone was saying about like the difference with like dupes and stuff is I feel like the take needs to be structured. Like, I guess it depends, right? Like if a unit is bad at 55%, but then they're really good at Rainbow, I think you can't really then say in like a sort of blanket black and white, well, the unit's bad then if they're bad at 55%, but really good at Rainbow. Because it's like, yeah, not everyone's going to have them Rainbow necessarily, but like when it comes to ranking units, like most people, when we're doing top 10 lists and stuff like that, like we really only consider the unit at their full potential. So if a unit is kind of mid at 55%, but then they're one of the best units in the game at Rainbow, then obviously they're going to be high in those lists because that's where, you know, that's how we rank them. That's the ultimate goal at the end of the day.
Right.
Like not every player is going to have that necessarily, you know, after the first banner, maybe not even after the second banner, but like the goal obviously is to get the units to Rainbow. And so that is like the performance that they get ranked on. And yeah, some units are better at 55% than other units at 55%, but I don't think it's like, even if a unit is bad at 55%, I wouldn't say that the unit is bad if they are then really good once you get dupes, right? But yeah, I thought this would be a good spicy one because, like I say, even I know we've all had our own issues in the past. It happens sometimes, right? You know, the fusion condition, sometimes it's annoying if you get the weird rotations and then you get to a point where they do like run out of their guard, but you can't fuse. All very irritating. But Yeah, to say that they're ass and then say even fused that he's not good, I think is crazy.
Even fused.
Because Minato's thing is exactly right. Like I have used him so many times where, especially with how hard these bosses hit you, where he fuses and immediately has his active skill available on the same turn. So then you use it in slot 2, you do a bunch of damage, then you move him into slot 1, so he has 100% chance to dodge. And then I can't remember what the maximum number of supers that he has in that turn where you get the active skill in turn 2.
4 or 5.
But I swear, like, yeah, the number of times I've been sat watching him super and then super and then super and then and I'm sat there like, oh, here's another one. Like he's still going, like, and he does all these super attacks. I swear, like, it's like you said, it's super effective, and he's doing a whole bunch of them. I don't want to insult this person directly because I think there's some generalities in the community overall. But I swear, if you showed someone a picture of a unit doing like a 40 million attack stat, and then you showed them a clip of a unit doing 10 million attack stats, and you asked them which one was better, they'd all just be like, oh, well, the 40 million one, obviously.
Yeah.
Even though they're like both the same. Like,
right.
So it's, even if he's not doing as much of an attack stat as a unit that only does 1 or 2 supers, he's doing like 5 of them. So, and then of course, I think Minato did mention it, the fact that he gives that massive buff to everybody else's defense on super as well. So he's not only doing that damage, but he has the utility and stuff as well. So yeah, he's absolutely crazy. I can't remember where I put him on my last tier list, but he's still like a top 10 LR, I think, for sure. But yeah, to say that he's absolutely ass, this is again going back to what I was saying.
Yeah,
the take doesn't say that he's mid. The take doesn't say that he's hard to use. Like, it says that he's ass. So I think I lived up to what I promised you guys and delivered a certified trash take over here for this week's episode. So
I think like if the take could make you hit the old it's something inside of me just snap, then that's a trash take.
Yeah, exactly. Plus I do think it's funny, again, like we said, is trying to say, like, calling the unit ass and then comparing him to one of the best defensive units, like one of the best aging defensive units.
Right. Like what? I don't understand, bro. I don't. Here's the thing. Here's how ridiculous that is in comparison to Golden Frieza. Okay, I have a friend, right, who played Dokkan for a really long time, and he quit the game. Right, he came back like once or twice during anniversary and stuff, but he knows that I play Dokkan all the time. So, but he's familiar enough with the game. And like occasionally, he'll just ask me, has AGL Golden Frieza fallen off yet? And I'm like, nope, he has not. And he's like, yep, that boy was goated back when I was playing, and he's still goated now.
That's what happens when you give a unit 90% damage reduction. Like, that's actually ridiculous. So
I mean, it's just a thing
always be good.
Thinking about, right? It's just like,
yeah, I'm sure back in the day, like they just did not have the foresight to realize how crazy that would be. Like, isn't that so crazy to think about? Like, there's all these units in the general pool that are like just these absolute stinkers of units that are so old that like you pull them. Frieza. And there's Golden Frieza.
Well, the thing is, it's why
be happy to pull him.
It's why percentage-based things are always so ridiculous. It's like if you see a character that has a damage reduction passive of, let's say, like 59% or 60 for like a round number or something. If you have a unit that doesn't have damage reduction at all, and they're just relying on their raw defense, and then you see a boss hit them for like 30k from a normal, in your mind, you're like, uh-oh, if I get super attacked, I am dead. Whereas if a unit has damage reduction, they can get hit for like 30k from a normal, but then still live a super, because that's the whole point of percentages, right? The bigger the number that's coming in, the bigger that it gets taken off. So if we ever get a boss, I mean, I guess teams by then might have enough HP to live that, but if we were to ever get a boss that did a 10 million damage super attack, Golden Frieza would only take 1 million damage from a 10 million damage attack. Like, that is actually ridiculous.
That's crazy.
So,
that's why he's the GOAT.
Exactly. So
he's the GOAT.
Yeah, percentage-based damage reduction always going to be crazy. But yeah, there you go. That was the that was your trash take for this week, boys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I told you I'd pick a spicy one that I felt most people would disagree with. I know some people in the chat actually did literally say they voted yes for the memes, but We do have.
Wait, hold on. I just realized that's a good point. Did they mean they meant AGL Golden Frieza as in the TUR, not the LR, right?
Yeah, because they're saying that he's like a tank, but he doesn't really do damage.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just making sure. I just wanted to like. I was like, because I saw some people in the chat were confused because I think they thought we were talking about LR Golden.
Yeah,
Frieza.
no, they're talking about the TUR because they're basically saying he tanks, but he doesn't do any damage, which again, obviously,
which is him. Yeah.
It's got, but again, it's like one of those things. If you get a chance where you can put him in slot 2, I'm never gonna say that the AGL Blue Boys damage is actually impressive, but it's kind of the whole point, right? You put them in slot 1, so they're better defensively, and then the trade-off is that they're not very good offensively. But it kind of like it's like the it's the pros and cons kind of thing, right? They make up for not doing a lot of damage by being a good defensive unit in slot 1, and then once Vegito comes out, he does the damage, right? So, but yeah, shout out to Juicy Ed for submitting the take.
Juicy Ed, thanks for the juicy take. As you always say, they understood the assignment.
Exactly. This is one, they understood the assignment for this week. We got a certified trash take. So, yeah, there you go. So we will jump back here to the main screen. Hello, we're back. And we will go into the very final segment of the episode here where we read out the super chats and donos and everything from the duration of the episode. So shout out to everybody who did indeed contribute. I will go through these here. Obviously, if you want to get something in quickly here last minute as we go through them, we'll try and get those included as well before we get to the very end. So to start us off, we did have a couple of gifted memberships from our boy Raudo-kun, gifted 5 memberships. And then Philip Rodriguez gifted 5 memberships as well. So thank you very much. Those of you who did receive the memberships, I hope you've been enjoying the Super Saiyan 4 Cyberman emote in the chat. And all the other ones that we have. I think I've got up to we're up to 24 emotes now or something. And we've got some pretty funny ones in there. So make sure you check those out. And then we have a couple of the super chats here. So shout out to our boy Drace for the $5 dono. He says what we need in Dokkan is Super Saiyan 4 Cyberman. Yep. Super Saiyan 4 Super Saiyan 4 Chaozu that fuse into Super Saiyan 4 Chow Man. Red Zone Boss.
That would be gas. I'm not gonna lie. That
dude,
would be sick.
Because of the memes on the stream the other day, because of the emote and stuff, I did a video recently of using Chow Man versus Fusion Zamasu. And I actually no-itemed Fusion Zamasu with Chow Man on the team because he's on Limit Breaker Vegito's 200% team because obviously he's a crossover character and he's a fused fighter. So, type advantage against Fusion Zamasu. Good times.
That's so funny.
So, good old Chow Man. You love to see it. Then we have another one here from Drace for $5. It says, if Beast is anniversary, Tech Ultimate Gohan will most likely EZA. Chaos soon cometh. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that's on the cards if Beast Gohan is for anniversary?
No. I think
so.
No, I don't. I think. Well, okay. Here's the thing, right? He's old enough. We're at the point that he could get an EZA, but I don't know. To be fair, Dokkan is a very silly company, and they don't know what their own units do. I feel like half the time, or what they need. But he does not need an EZA, and I don't know.
No, I mean he's usable still, but he needs an EZA to be top tier. I think
that's what I mean.
I think he's a funny unit.
I think it could still be a little bit.
He's not he's still a funny unit for sure. It can still be good.
I just think it doesn't. It's not right now, right? I think a little bit later down the line, but
I would say that's just in our brain, though. Again,
that's true.
I think from the devs' perspective, they would be like, we're getting a Beast Gohan. Who could we EZA to match with Beast Gohan? And the only upcoming character is Tech Ultimate Gohan.
Yeah.
Really, that's
true.
With him.
That is true.
Plus, remember, like we said before, no one expected, especially we got the 3-year anniversary LR EZAs during the anniversary, and then got the 4 years at the end.
True.
So it feels like if they're ever going to do something maybe a little bit crazy and out of schedule, just for the sake of hype, anniversary is the time to do it. So.
And
again, I think to be fair, when they run out of the units, what are they going to do? When they run out of any units, what do they do?
they're not going
They
to
can't,
because it's
can they
gonna
now? Because
be
it's like they're what, 3 years ahead or
Are
something?
they
Or-
years
spaced
ahead.
out well enough where they could?
yeah. So like
Okay.
again, this year for the 9th anniversary is gonna be the 6-year units. Next year for the 10th anniversary is gonna be the 7-year units, which is fusions.
That's crazy.
And then
Yeah, so it's just going
keep
to
up
keep
like
going. Good
that.
dude. Just we're not going to, we won't
That's
spend
wild.
any time on it because we could talk about it
Yeah.
for ages. But just imagine like 10th anniversary when the 7-year LRs get their EZAs. Like
Dude, I'm
they're still
thinking
usable
it's
now.
gonna
Like they're
be-
going to be
Yeah.
insane.
I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be full fusions. We'll see S tier Vegito,
Oh,
Tech
man.
Gogeta, those year
God.
7s, maybe make fusions as
Oh,
the
man.
headliners. Just
Yeah, that would be
huge fusion
crazy.
stuff.
All right,
Yeah,
but yeah,
10th
so
Annie will be wild.
Ultimate Gohan definitely could potentially if it is Beast Gohan. Chaos will indeed cometh to the community because it'll just be any
Wait.
Gohan release 3.0 at this point,
Oh
where
my goodness, my
some
brain
people
just
will
lit
be
up.
hailing him as the return of Dokkan Jesus, and other people will be trash talking him. But
So this is again off topic. We were talking a little bit 10th anniversary, but I just want to say this really quick before we move on. So fusing together, 10th anniversary theme,
sinking,
fusions,
oh,
both versions
Oh.
fusing together for 10th anniversary combination.
Listen. They said that Worldwide was themed around connection, and we saw how that went. So I'm not buying nothing.
I mean, they did announce the connection.
they
to
did,
be
yeah,
fair,
it's true.
but
Uh,
it's going to
And
be
then
the
now-
actual fusing.
Dude, that actually would be
listen.
awesome, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll see. They put together some horrible like nightmare fuel clip of Amatsu and Koto doing the fusion dance. But yeah, so
Oh,
shout
man,
out
that'd be funny.
to shout out to Drace. That will definitely be interesting to see. Another one from Drace here for the $2. I have Copium for the Tournament of Power. We will respect the Universe 6 girls. I mean, hopefully, if Tournament of Power is part of the main theme for Anniversary, obviously we're going to be leaning towards it being more something like UI Goku and something like that. Even the
Yeah.
side banner unit is probably more likely to be something Team Universe 7 related. But then, of course,
cool.
we never know what Part 2 would bring. We never know what something like the first Dokkan Fest after the Anniversary will be. Definitely would be good to get those Universe 6 buffs. Kale, I used her recently, and she's still a good enough unit at the moment that if she gets the team that she needs, like she could still be like quite good, right? And I mean, we already see with the release of those 50% EZAs, I've seen screenshots of people like no iteming Fusion Zamasu with her team now, with like Hit and Kabe on the team. So she can still be good if she gets those buffs that she needs. So hopefully that does happen sooner rather than later. So shout out to JC Gamer as well for the $5 dono. He says, I feel like 55% units and rainbow units play very differently. 55% LR AGL Vegito is pretty bad, while 100% is on a different level. It's night and day. I don't know what you guys, if you want to weigh in a little bit on that. I remember I did the 55% showcase for them, and obviously aside from the glaringly obvious, like, slot 1 as the blue boys, their attack stats are not particularly good. I still thought they were pretty good, right? Because I'm like a unit that has guard and dodge that is a slot 1 unit is kind of useful. But of course, at 55%, they're not going to be quite as good. Do you think Vegito, I guess the way I'd put it for you guys to answer is, do you think Vegito more so is one of those characters where the difference between 55% and the dupes is bigger than some other characters potentially?
I feel like potentially, because I think the thing with Vegito is that obviously with each attack set that they get, it's gonna increase more, and it's like obviously with so many additionals, having the extra attack stats especially will make a difference overall to a lot of people. So
Yeah. I think I don't know if I would say night and day. I feel like that's a
Not
little
night
bit
and day.
like, overzealous maybe a little bit, but I think maybe putting it as like obviously it's a very big difference, I think would definitely be the case. Ironically enough, you know what unit I think that more of is Forku. Honestly, like I think that using Vegito Blue at 55, because I have him at 55 as well. I think he's still very, he's still solid, but obviously the Rainbow one is better. I almost feel like that maybe it's just because of my beef with Forku, but I feel like he's a really big unit where it's like night and day from the Rainbow and the 55.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that most characters, it's way less important nowadays than it was actually a few years ago, I would argue, because characters nowadays do everything.
Yeah.
Crit, dodge, additionals, like characters do most of the stuff in their passive, or at least like 2 out of 3 most of the time. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, true.
Like not as important.
Very true. And not to mention, like, you know, rainbow friends are so much easier to come by nowadays. I feel like, I don't know, maybe they always have been, and I'm just higher rank now, so I just notice it more. But like, if you have one rainbow unit of Vegito, he can just carry. Like, you can just float the 55 one, and you'll be fine.
That's true too, right?
Yeah.
Or again, they're both gonna be still good at someone. Even if
Yeah. Oh yeah. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. 100%. So, we got one last one here at the end after that. I think it's spurred on by the fusion comment from Drace with the $2. Just says Queen Koto. So, yeah, she's missed and always remembered. But, you know, we'll see.
She's still there. But
I know. But, yeah, so that is going to be it. That's all the shout outs. Thanks to everybody who contributed during the podcast. We appreciate you guys. Helps keep the podcast going. Shout out to everyone who, of course, came out to the live version, took part in the polls. We did put up, I forgot to mention it actually like out loud for those listening, but we did put up a poll in the chat during that discussion about the yellow coin EZAs for Super Saiyan 3 Goku or the androids. Super Saiyan 3 Goku did get slightly higher percentage of the votes, so definitely very interesting. Let us know what you guys think. If you're someone watching back the VOD or listening on Spotify, if you do get the opportunity, do come and check out an episode live so you can take part in those polls and in the chat. But yeah, that is going to be everything for this episode 20 of the Slot 1 Super Podcast. We appreciate everybody coming out.
So 20, wow, that's cool.
I know, 20 episodes, let's go. So,
love to see
cool.
it.
Yeah, we will be back next week, as we said, potentially with more news on the anniversary. And then as the anniversary does really begin to kick off, hopefully we should have some guests and some other fun stuff going on. So make sure you guys keep it locked in here. Follow us over on our Twitter page. Check out the Spotify, all that good stuff. And yeah, from me, the Master Ningen, Minato, and Dokkan Assets, we will see you all next week. So, peace out.
Bye-bye.